Chapter 1308. After the shout came out, another group of Jiangyun Palace disciples came out from the crowd. This time, they did not mindlessly rush towards Su Yun, but threw out a few spells from afar to force Su Yun. The ferocious fire dragon strike. An icy ball of frost. A mournful thunder that was filled with the intent of destruction. The yin and yang energy that was constantly circling around the black and white fishes. These strange immortal techniques interweaved together, converged together, and smashed straight towards Su Yun. But Su Yun did not move, he did not even dodge. He just stood at his original position, quietly watching the spells fly over. Arrogant. Seeing Su Yun's actions, many people cursed. The few spellcasters were even more furious. However, the reality was very cruel. Puff, 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 puff. Waves of strange sounds came out, and when the spells got close to Su Yun, they all disappeared without a trace, like bubbles that had been popped, disappearing without a trace. How is this possible? The immortal arts have all disappeared. Did he dissolve it? No. Impossible. I didn't even see him make a move. What the hell is going on? The people from Jiangyun Palace were all dumbfounded. The commander was even more startled, seeing Su Yun step forward again, walking towards him in the air. He anxiously shouted, "Attack! Hit me! Hit him ruthlessly! Quick!" More and more immortals started to cast their spells, and more immortal arts struck towards Su Yun, but no matter how beautiful the immortal arts looked, they would all disappear into thin air when they got close to Su Yun. All of this was naturally due to the effect of the divine power of the imperial battle robe. In fact, Su Yun did not like to be beaten up one-sidedly. He only used the divine power of the imperial battle robe to absorb their immortal technique attacks, which allowed him to quickly recover the immortal chi that he had consumed in the previous battle, so he spun and endured it. All of you, stop. This person's strength is unfathomable. He has the protection of divine power, so no matter how fierce your attacks are, it's useless. Right at this moment, a shout rang out. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a few figures flying out from the crowd. The person in the lead was a middle-aged man wearing a purple robe. The man was rather tall and thin, with high cheekbones, a high nose bridge, narrow eyes, and a head of neat short hair. He looked to be in his 40s, but everyone knew that the appearance of an immortal did not match his actual age. At this moment, he was looking at Su Yun with interest, and Su Yun was also looking at him without any trace of politeness. "Who are you?" the man said with a smile. "Shouldn't I be the one asking you that?" Su Yun asked without any trace of politeness. Hearing this, the man laughed and said, "If I'm not mistaken, you should be the master of the Immortal Seeking Sect, a third-rate sect like the Immortal Seeking Sect. To have someone as skilled as you, a person like you should be the master of the Immortal Seeking Sect? You're the Palace Master of Jiangyun Palace?" Su Yun raised his brows. "That's right." The middle-aged man nodded. "I am the Palace Master of Jiangyun Palace, Qiu Yuelu." Qiu Yuelu? Su Yun tried to recall, but realized that he had never heard of this name. He exhaled and shouted, "Palace Master Qiu brought so many people to my Immortal Seeking Sect, I wonder what's the matter?" "Oh, nothing much, just a small matter, I want to find that. What's your name again?" "I'm Su Yun." "Sect Master Su, yes. I'm here to discuss something with Sect Master Su. It's just that your Immortal Seeking Sect doesn't seem to know how to treat guests. You actually don't let us enter the Immortal Seeking Sect, and blocked us at the door. Why? Is your Immortal Seeking Sect looking down on our Jiangyun Palace?" Qiu Yuelu said slowly, the corners of his mouth raised into a smile. His squinted eyes were like the eyes of a lazy cat. Although his eyes were squinted into a slit, the deterrence and oppression that overflowed from it was not the slightest bit less, and all of it was swung towards Su Yun. However, Su Yun still did not feel anything. He glanced at the Jiangyun Palace people in front of him and said indifferently, You brought so many people to my immortal-seeking sect, are you all guests? The way you Jiangyun Palace people treat guests is a bit strange. Strange? Hee, Sect Master Su, this is the difference between our Jiangyun Palace and your immortal-seeking sect. At this time, Qiu Yuelu sneered and said, since things have come to this point, I won't beat around the bush. With you here, it doesn't matter if we enter the immortal-seeking sect or not. Sect Master Su, I'm here today to look for cooperation. Cooperation? Cooperation for what? Cooperation for resources. Qiu Yuelu laughed and said, I heard that your immortal-seeking sect has recently obtained a lot of resources in the mining area and the spiritual wood area. These resource areas are not small, and many sects are envious of you. When I found out about this, I was really happy for your immortal-seeking sect. After all, your immortal-seeking sect is not strong. If the resources can keep up, the sect will definitely be able to rise to the next level. But, Sect Master Su, you should be clear of the laws of the immortal world. If you become strong, what will the surrounding sects think? Let's not talk about the distant, let's talk about the nearby. The Eight Harmonies door is only about a 3-day journey away from here. If you develop and become strong, will the sect master not care? Would the other big sects just stand by and watch a third-rate sect like you take up the resources? Sooner or later, you will be bullied by other sections. So, you have to cooperate with other sects and share the resources. Only then can you protect yourself. At this point, Qiu Yuelu paused for a moment and continued with a faint smile on his face. I have also heard that the immortal-seeking sect and the Carefree Palace have formed an alliance. However, the Carefree Palace is not an ordinary celestial sect. It is not even comparable to the Jiangyun Palace. It is impossible for the Carefree Palace to protect you. Now, Sect Leader Su, I represent the Jiangyun Palace to form an alliance with the Immortal-Seeking Sect. I request the Immortal-Seeking Sect to share resources with us. He stared at Su Yun with sparkling eyes, looking forward to his answer. However, just as he finished speaking, Su Yun said directly, if we share the resources, does that mean that our Immortal-Seeking Sect can also use the resources of the Jiangyun Palace? Of course not. I think you misunderstood what I meant. The so-called sharing of resources is only one-sided. Your Immortal-Seeking Sect has to share the resources with us. In return, we will provide you with protection in terms of martial strength. We will not let you be harassed by other sections. That is all, Qiu Yuelu said. Doesn't that mean you want our Immortal-Seeking Sect to rely on you? Su Yun couldn't help but laugh. Why do you have to beat around the bush? Think what you want. I am here today to help you. Help me? Hee, that's true. Right now, the Immortal Court can't even take care of itself. Naturally, you will choose to plunder wantonly and reap the benefit. After all, the Immortal Court has no time to care about you. Su Yun looked at Qiu Yuelu indifferently, but he didn't seem to be flustered. He just said indifferently, however, I still want to return your words to you. Qiu Yuelu, are you willing to submit to me? What? Qiu Yuelu thought he heard wrongly. He looked at Su Yun strangely and said, Sect Master Su, what are you talking about? I am saying, since you are all here, why not submit to me? How about that? It will save me the trouble of going to the Jiangyun Palace personally. That would be too troublesome, Su Yun continued. Qiu Yuelu was stunned for a moment. Then, he laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha, the surrounding Jiangyun Palace disciples couldn't help but laugh out loud. Perhaps they thought that this was the funniest joke they had ever heard. Hearty laughter echoed in the sky. In their eyes, the person in front of them was indeed powerful. However, he was far from being a match for the Jiangyun Palace. At the end of the day, the Immortal-Seeking Sect was just an inferior sect. They didn't care about them at all. Su Yun looked at the people in front of him quietly. The laughter of nearly 100,000 people gathered together. How far would it travel, however? At this moment, a large number of black dots suddenly appeared in the sky. These black dots slowly approached him. More and more, denser and denser. When he saw these black dots, Chioyuelu stopped laughing. He frowned slightly. When he looked, he realized that these black dots were actually immortals. After about 10 breaths of time, there were more and more figures. They could already cover half of the sky. They lined up in a row, extending up and down like a pitch-black wall, pressing towards Su Yun. Seeing the sudden appearance of these people, not only Chioyuelu, but even the people from the Jiangyun Palace shut their mouths. No one dared to laugh out loud. Pairs of eyes stared at the sky. They stared at the increasing number of people. It was a black mass. The baleful qi and immortal qi mixed together. It turned into a gale and blew towards them. And at the very front of the countless figures was Su Yun. Who? The gale rubbed against their bodies. As they advanced, the sound of friction spread out like a horn. The countless figures continued to drive until they were 100 meters behind Su Yun before stopping. At this moment, the people from the Jiangyun Palace were dumbstruck. They were completely shocked by the sudden appearance of the countless people. They did not even put up a defensive formation. Chioyuelu was even more shocked. He roughly looked around. There were at least 500,000 immortals here, and the strength of each immortal was no less than the 4th stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal. What kind of terrifying power was this? Where did they come from? Where were they going? They couldn't be from the immortal-seeking sect, right? Chioyuelu's mind was filled with doubts, but no one could answer him. At this moment, he heard Su Yun say, "Sect Leader Chio, how is it? My suggestion? Do you want to consider it? Or do you plan to continue mocking me?" As his voice fell, he waved his hand. In an instant, the 500,000 people behind him pulled out their swords and magic treasures at the same time. Killing intent surged over. Chapter 1309. Chioyuelu's eyes widened as he looked at the scene in disbelief. How could he have imagined that a small immortal-seeking sect could produce such a powerful figure? Hualala, at the same time, behind the Jiang Cloud Palace, the immortal-seeking sect also made a move. The enchantment around the immortal-seeking sect was removed and close to 10,000 immortal-seeking sect people rushed out. Although it was not a lot, it blocked their path of retreat. At this moment, the Jiang Cloud Palace was surrounded by enemies. The disciples of the Jiang Cloud Palace were dumbfounded. Many of them had yet to realize what was going on. What's going on? Are these people from your immortal-seeking sect? Chioyuelu murmured. No, they are allies of my immortal-seeking sect. Su Yun said indifferently. Wei Ming, who was behind him, immediately walked forward. Seeing Wei Ming, Chioyuelu's eyes widened. How could he not recognize the leader of the Dali Ling Palace? But he never expected to meet Wei Ming here. Palace Lord Wei, why are you here? Could it be that the immortal-seeking sect has formed an alliance with the Dali Ling Palace? Chioyuelu's face turned ugly. If the Dali Ling Palace and the immortal-seeking sect had formed an alliance, didn't that mean the Dali Ling Palace had formed an alliance with the Carefree Palace? What was going on with the immortal-seeking sect? It was just a third-rate sect with more resources. Why would so many powerful sects form an alliance with it? That's not the case. I'm a subordinate of Master Su and follow him. The Dali Ling Palace actually belongs to Master Su. Why would we form an alliance? At this moment, Wei Ming said something that shocked everyone to death. Chioyuelu was truly dumbstruck when he heard this. What did that mean? Could it be that the Dali Ling Palace was a subordinate of the immortal-seeking sect? Wei Ming was just a subordinate of Su Yun? This news was too shocking. Chioyuelu could not digest it in a short time. He looked at Su Yun, then looked at Wei Ming. At this moment, he even had the thought of dying. He originally wanted to extort the immortal-seeking sect and steal some resources. After all, the immortal-seeking sect was not far from the Jiang Cloud Palace. Furthermore, the Jiang Cloud Palace had been suffering setbacks recently and needed a large amount of resources to develop. Thus, he brought his disciples to pressure them. Who would have thought that this puny immortal-seeking sect was actually not to be trifled with? Su Yun glanced at Qiu Yuelu, then looked at the people from Jiang Yun Palace, and started to ponder. Although Su Yun's aura had intimidated the people of the Jiang Cloud Palace, he had no intention of fighting them. Although he had a lot of people behind him, these brothers of his had just fought with the Immortal Court's divine lord and saint. They must be tired from the journey. If they were to fight with the 100,000 people of the Jiang Cloud Palace who had rested and rested, they wouldn't be able to handle it. Thinking about that, Su Yun shouted, "Sect leader Qiu, do you want to consider what I have said? Or are you going to insist on cooperating with the immortal-seeking sect?" This, Qiu Yuelu was in a dilemma. Only now did he know that the immortal-seeking sect was not a pushover. This time, he had kicked an iron plate. But if he fought, he couldn't win. If he didn't fight, there were so many disciples behind him watching. If he cowered, wouldn't he lose all his face? How could he still be the palace lord of the Jiang Cloud Palace? Just when Qiu Yuelu was at a loss of what to do, Su Yun suddenly spoke. "Sect leader Qiu, maybe we can sit down and have a good talk. With so many people gathered here, and with arrows drawn, no one can calm down and talk, right?" With that said, Su Yun looked at Wei Ming, who was beside him. Wei Ming signaled, and immediately instructed the people behind him. The 500,000 people all kept their blades and swords, and gradually dispersed. Seeing that Su Yun dismissed these people, Qiu Yuelu knew that Su Yun was giving him a way out. After thinking about it again and again, Qiu Yuelu waved his hand and said to the people beside him, "Bring your people and retreat 1,000 miles. Sect leader, what about you?" The people beside him asked. "Didn't you hear that sect leader Su and Palace Lord Wei wanted to discuss something with me?" "But what? Do you think they can harm me?" Qiu Yuelu pretended to be calm. Hearing Qiu Yuelu's words, the disciples did not persist. They looked at each other and cupped their fists, then left one after another. Seeing that, Su Yun's lips curled up and he flew towards Qiu Yuelu. "Sect leader Qiu, please come in," he said with a smile, but without waiting for Qiu Yuelu to leave, he flew in himself. Qiu Yuelu's movements froze. He wanted to say something, but when he saw Wei Ming flying in with Su Yun, the anger in his heart immediately disappeared without a trace. In terms of strength, the current Great Ling Long Palace could actually contend with the Jiang Cloud Palace. But the current Wei Ming was dead set on following this person. Qiu Yuelu was uncertain. After all, it was his first time seeing Su Yun. After Su Yun entered the immortal-seeking sect, the tense situation around the immortal-seeking sect was also resolved. Qiu Yuelu carefully rushed towards the immortal-seeking sect. Of course, he was not alone. There was a group of Jiang Cloud Palace experts following behind him. "Sect leader, are you really going in like this? What if they want to take you down?" Seeing that Qiu Yuelu actually planned to enter the immortal-seeking sect like this, the people at the side became anxious. However, Qiu Yuelu shook his head and said in a low voice, "If these people really wanted to take me, why would they invite me in? They could have just directly made a move. In our previous situation, if we were to really fight, we would definitely have no chance of winning. Furthermore, this guy in black robes seems to be stronger than me. I don't have 100% chance of winning against him." The other party did not choose to make a move against us in all sorts of unfavorable circumstances. Instead, they took the initiative to let their people retreat to show their sincerity. It is enough to show that they truly intend to have a good talk with us, and not set up a trap. When the others heard this, they felt that it made sense, so they did not stop Qiu Yuelu. Qiu Yuelu and the rest flew straight inside. Qiu Yuelu knew of Wei Ming's words. Qiu Yuelu also had some impression of Xiang Yang. Now that the two of them were like servants following beside Su Yun, it truly made him secretly shocked. Just as Su Yun stepped into the meeting hall, Hu Qianmei anxiously ran over, and without saying a word, she threw herself into his embrace and warmed up for a while. It's good that you're back. Worried? Of course. Hu Qianmei's face was full of smiles. She kissed him on the face, and even mischievously licked her tongue. Mayor, a guest is coming. You should step aside first. Su Yun patted Hu Qianmei's perky butt and said with a smile. Hu Qianmei obediently nodded her head, then walked out of the meeting hall. Just as she left, Su Luluo walked in. She looked at Hu Qianmei, who was smiling brightly and in an extremely good mood, and then walked in front of Su Yun. Seems like you are interested in Qiuelu? I am interested, but I do not plan to take him in as one of my own, Su Yun said indifferently. Why? Su Luluo was a little surprised. According to Su Yun's temperament, he should have used the controlling heart pill to control Qiuelu, and then control the Jiangyun Palace. But Su Yun did not say anything and looked ahead. Very quickly, Wei Ming, Xiang Yang and Qiuelu walked in. Su Yun stood with his hands behind his back, while Su Luluo stood at the side. Sect Leader Qiu, take a seat. Su Yun gestured and then sat down himself. Qiuelu originally wanted to give himself some face, but looking at Wei Ming and Xiang Yang, he laughed awkwardly. Sect Leader Su is too polite. Then, he sat down. A few cups of immortal tea were served. Su Yun drank a mouthful, put down the cup, and closed his eyes as though he was resting, but did not speak. Qiuelu waited for a long time, but did not hear Su Yun say anything. He became anxious and cupped his fists. Sect Leader Su, this is the first time I have met you, and I am not very familiar with you. If I have offended you before, please forgive me. I didn't take it to heart. Su Yun opened his eyes and said indifferently. That's good, Qiuelu said with a smile that did not reach his eyes. Then, Sect Leader Su, you have invited me in, I wonder what you have to discuss with me. Didn't I say it before? Without waiting for Qiuelu to finish speaking, Su Yun immediately interrupted him, kept his smile, and said expressionlessly, Take me as your master, surrender to me. This. Qiuelu's face changed. He never thought that Su Yun would actually speak so clearly. He looked left and right, as though he was observing if Su Yun was lying in ambush. Su Luluo did not understand. Didn't Su Yun just say that he did not plan to take Qiuelu in as one of his own? Why did he say such a thing? You don't have the right to refuse, Su Yun said indifferently. Does Sect Leader Su think that our Jiangyun Palace is easy to bully? Seeing that there were no ambushes around, Qiuelu secretly calculated his escape route, and felt that he could still escape unscathed, and immediately became angry, and said, If Sect Leader Su sincerely wants to cooperate with our Jiangyun Palace, then I can still accept it, but if you only want my Jiangyun Palace to submit to your immortal-seeking sect, then there's no need to talk about it. All right, send the guest off, Su Yun said indifferently. I will not make things difficult for you, but please go back and prepare immediately. What? Do you really think that just because you have the great Ling Long Palace supporting you, my Jiangyun Palace will be afraid of you? Seeing that Su Yun did not plan to deal with him here, Qiuelu became confident and snorted. Sect Leader Su, I admit that you are indeed very strong, but don't look down on people. The Jiangyun Palace also has some connections. I don't know how many connections you have, but in 3 days, I will bring people from 4 immortal sects to your Jiangyun Palace. The reason is naturally very simple. For your Jiangyun Palace people to enter and visit my immortal-seeking sect, courtesy demands reciprocation. I believe the people from the immortal court will not interfere, Su Yun said indifferently. For immortal sects? Qiuelu was dumbstruck. Yes, they are the 8 Harmonies sect, the Great Ling Long Palace, the Carefree Palace and the Immortal Seeking sect. I hope that all of you are prepared. You can ask for help from the other immortal sects, or ask for help from the immortal court, but no matter what, regarding today's matter, I must seek justice from your Jiangyun Palace. Su Yun's voice gradually became cold. Chapter 13:10. The Eight Harmonies sect, the Great Linglong Palace, and the Carefree Palace were all extremely famous immortal sections. With Su Yun's support, they had already developed to a new level. Whether it was the number of disciples, the overall strength of the disciples, the resources of the sect, or the number of magic treasures they possessed, they had all improved significantly compared to before. Qiu Yuelu did not pay much attention to the immortal-seeking sect, so he did not know how deep they were. However, if these three sects were added together, they would definitely be an incredible force. Although Qiu Yuelu could call for two immortal sects to help him, it was impossible for them to help him fight against these four immortal sects. Furthermore, they might not even be able to win. Qiu Yuelu's eyes shook, then he forced out a laugh, laughed a few times, and said, "Sect Leader Su, don't scare people here. I don't believe that you will really join forces with the four immortal sects to cause trouble for us. It's fine if you don't believe me, but I don't intend to use words to make you submit. Just leave. 3 days later, there will be an outcome." Su Yun said indifferently, and did not try to keep Qiu Yuelu. Qiu Yuelu had innocently brought people to surround the immortal-seeking sect, and Su Yun already had an excuse, but Qiu Yuelu did not give Su Yun an explanation for this matter. If Su Yun really brought four immortal sects to attack the Jiangyun Palace, no one would say anything, and the current immortal court would not care about the matters here. They were already extremely busy with the matters of the true Devil Realm. Qiu Yuelu also understood this logic, and upon hearing Su Yun's words, he did not know what to do. He had seen the 500,000 people from before, and Xiang Yang and Wei Ming had indeed acknowledged this person as their master. From this, it could be seen that the Eight Harmonies sect, the Great Linglong Palace, and even the Carefree Palace had indeed submitted to him. If this person was not extremely intelligent, then he must be extremely powerful. Otherwise, how could these proud and aloof sect leaders of the celestial sects submit to him? However, if I, Qiu Yuelu, am to rely on him like this and condescend to obey this brat, then how will I, Qiu Yuelu, be able to establish myself in the immortal world in the future? In the future, how would I be able to expand my family business and dominate an area? Qiu Yuelu pondered in his heart. After thinking about it, he finally made a decision. Since he couldn't defeat this brat, he might as well let him do what he wanted for the time being and deal with him in a roundabout way. He could make a decision after this matter had died down. Thinking up to here, Qiu Yuelu immediately cupped his fists and said, "Sect Leader Su? Sect Leader Su, please don't be angry, don't be angry. Actually, I had the intention to obey since a long time ago, and I came here today with this intention as well. Since Sect Leader Su has said so, I naturally don't dare to disobey. I'm willing to obey Sect Leader Su and serve Sect Leader Su." Oh! Su Yun did not believe that he would agree so readily. He could have used the great exquisite technique to pry into Qiu Yuelu's thoughts, but he did not do so. Although it was his first time seeing Qiu Yuelu, Su Yun could tell that he was just a hypocrite. In that case, it couldn't be better. Su Yun took out a pill from his space bag and handed it over. "Since that's the case, consume this pill and prove your loyalty to me." "What is this?" "Poison," Su Yun said. "What?" Qiu Yuelu was shocked. "You don't dare to eat it? Who would eat poison for no reason?" Qiu Yuelu was a little angry. "Sect Leader Su doesn't trust me? So you want to use this to test me? You don't think there's a need?" "Of course," Qiu Yuelu said angrily. "If Sect Leader Su really doesn't trust me, then you don't have to take this out. If we don't even have the most basic trust between us, how can we talk about cooperation?" "That makes sense." Su Yun nodded and kept the pill. He said, "This is my lack of consideration. I believe in Sect Leader Qiu's character. Since that's the case, I'll forget about it." Hearing that, Qiu Yuelu secretly heaved a sigh of relief. "Since it's like this, when I return to Jiangyun Palace, I'll offer some tributes to the Seeking Immortal sect to express my sincerity. I still have matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave for now. Master, take care." With that, Chiu Yuelu immediately turned and walked out of the conference hall as though he was escaping. Xiang Yang and Wei Ming both sent him off with their gazes. After he left for about 10 breaths of time, Xiang Yang couldn't help but speak up. "My lord, this Chiu Yuelu isn't wholeheartedly relying on us. We should force him to eat the heart control pill and control him. That way we will be able to control the Jiang Cloud Palace. Controlling him won't have any effect. We can't control Jiang Yun Palace because of this," Su Yun said indifferently. "What do you mean?" Xiang Yang did not understand. But before Su Yun could answer, Wei Ming, who was at the side, said, "Because Chiu Yuelu is not the absolute leader in Jiang Yun Palace. Although he has authority, he doesn't have all of it. Jiang Yun Palace is a unique immortal sect. The decisions of this sect, big or small, are not decided by the sect leader, but by the sect leader and the cabinet. If Master only controls Chiu Yuelu, not only will Chiu Yuelu bear a grudge against Master, Master will also not get anything. So, only by taking care of the cabinet, and then controlling Chiu Yuelu, can you obtain Jiang Yun Palace." Hearing this, Xiang Yang was enlightened. Jiang Yun Palace's cabinet has always been mysterious. Many people have never heard of it. I only heard that Jiang Yun Palace has been making a move recently, so I sent some people to investigate. But I didn't expect that Jiang Yun Palace's actions were actually directed at us. Then, Master, what should we do? Go and eradicate Jiang Yun Palace's cabinet? Xiang Yang asked again. We don't know who the cabinet is and who it is made up of. How do we eradicate it? Moreover, Chiu Yuelu is not on our side. I believe that when we return, he will definitely not obey us. A few days ago, he might have sent some tributes over, but after a long time, he will not put us in his eyes. Then, Master, if that's the case, doesn't it mean that we won't get anything? After working for so long, in the end, it was all for naught. Xiang Yang was naturally unhappy in his heart. But Su Yun did not reveal any unhappy expression. Instead, he said indifferently, "We didn't work for naught. We still have the initiative. Although we can't control Chiu Yuelu, we can take a step further to infiltrate Jiang Yun Palace." Infiltrate? How do we infiltrate? Send someone to infiltrate Jiang Yun Palace and obtain their information? Xiang Yang asked. Of course not. Our main goal is still Jiang Yun Palace's resources. Su Yun rubbed his chin and thought. The hall was quiet. Since we are going to attack Jiang Yun Palace's resources, then let's start with the tributes. Just then, a clear voice came out. Only then did everyone notice Su Luluo, who had been sitting beside Su Yun without making a sound. Luluo, do you have any ideas? Su Yun asked. Su Luluo thought for a moment, then said with a serious expression, I do have a way, but they are all small tricks. I don't know if they will be effective. Let's test the waters first. Our main enemy is still the Immortal Court. Su Yun said. Yes. Su Luluo nodded his head, and then said what he was thinking. It turned out that Su Luluo planned to use the method of creating rumors to first separate the hearts of the people of Jiang Yun Palace. For example, in this operation of Jiang Yun Palace, they had spent a lot of effort to lead 100,000 people to rush over aggressively, but in the end, they did not do anything and left in a sorry state. Su Luluo planned to use this reason to add oil and vinegar to discredit Chiu Yuelu and the cabinet of Jiang Yun Palace, and first shake their prestige. Then, he would make a few special requests, such as asking Jiang Yun Palace to send 100 talented disciples over to be nurtured. Of course, Su Yun would naturally carefully nurture these 100 disciples, allowing them to enjoy the treatment that other disciples did not have, and revealing their current situation to the disciples of Jiang Yun Palace, making them yearn for the immortal seeking sect, giving them more gifts and benefits. As time passed, Qiu Yuelo's prestige in Jiang Yun Palace would become lower and lower, and the position of immortal seeking sect would become higher and higher in the hearts of the disciples. After Su Yun heard Su Liluo's plan, he only understood 2 words. Attack the heart. Since force was useless, then he would use the heart to deal with the Jiang Yun Palace. At the moment, the immortal seeking sect, the Great Ling Long Palace and the other immortal sects were both physically and mentally exhausted, and were no longer suitable to fight with any other forces. Su Yun was currently extremely impressed with Su Luluo. In just a short period of time, she had thought of such a brilliant idea for him. Naturally, Su Luluo was the most suitable person to handle this matter. He specially instructed Xiang Yang to cooperate with Su Luluo. With her appearance, Su Yun felt more at ease. In the following days, Su Yun stayed in the Immortal Seeking Sect to recuperate from his injuries. The affairs of the Immortal Seeking Sect were also extremely busy, and there were still many things waiting for him to decide. After Wei Ming returned to take care of the matters of the Great Ling Long Palace, the matters of the Immortal Seeking Sect were handled by Su Luluo, Xiang Yang and Su Yun. Hu Qianmei would occasionally come to help, but her cultivation was low, adding that she was not familiar with many things here. She was not completely at ease. Normally, Su Yun would not let Hu Qianmei get involved in such matters. Su Yun and Hu Qianmei had known each other for a long time, and had some understanding of her temperament. She liked to be free and unfettered, and if not for her infatuation with Su Yun, she would not have stayed here. This continued for 5 to 6 days before the qi in his body gradually recovered. Su Yun was finally able to catch his breath. Early in the morning, Su Yun asked Xiang Yang to lead him to the Immortal Seeking Sect's prison. The Lord Fazhen was imprisoned in the most secure dungeon of the Immortal Seeking Sect, isolated by 10 layers of enchantments, and personally guarded by Faceless. When Su Yun arrived at the dungeon, the Lord Fazhen was lying on the ground with his eyes closed, as though he was dead. If not for the fact that Su Yun could see the pulse on his wrist, he might have thought that he was dead. "Open the barrier," Su Yun said indifferently. "Yes." Chapter 13:11. The enchantment opened and Su Yun slowly stepped in. At this moment, all of the Qi meridian in the Lord Fashion's body had been destroyed and his cultivation was completely crippled. He was just like an ordinary person. In order to prevent him from committing suicide, Su Yun had specially ordered Faceless to strengthen the vital parts of his body. With his current strength, he was unable to bite his tongue, blind his eyes, and even more so, he could not smash his head. Now, it was an extravagant hope for him to die. Seeing Su Yun enter, the Lord Fazhen slowly opened his tired eyes and said in a hoarse voice, "Why didn't you kill me? You're still useful to me. Are you trying to get information out of my mouth? Hee, don't even think of getting a single word out of my mouth. I definitely won't say anything." The Lord Fazhen said weakly. "No," Su Yun said indifferently, then helped him up and looked straight into his eyes. When the Lord Fazhen saw this, he was shocked. He suddenly remembered that the person in front of him knew the great exquisite technique. Damn it! He hurriedly closed his eyes, but it was too late. Su Yun had successfully linked his heart and thoughts. Everything in the depths of his heart was captured by Su Yun. This time, Su Yun's great exquisite technique was activated with all his might. The Lord Fazhen no longer had any cultivation and could not hide his thoughts at all. In an instant, a large amount of information about the Immortal Court was obtained by Su Yun. The 3 heroes of the Immortal Court were all experts at the peak of the Immortal Court. Their level could be said to be on the same level as the leader of the Dark Group. The news from the Lord Fazhen shocked Su Yun. After a while, he could not believe what he had found out about the Immortal Court. He was shocked and surprised. However, not long after using the great exquisite technique to peek into the Lord Fashion's mind, all the information was suddenly cut off. Su Yun was slightly startled. He looked at the Lord Fazhen again, and saw that his body had suddenly collapsed and his soul had already dissipated. Dead? Su Yun was sure that the Lord Fazhen did not have the ability to commit suicide. He checked for a moment and realized that in the process of using the great exquisite technique on him, his potential seemed to have been stimulated, and he forcefully destroyed his own soul. Clearly, the use of the great exquisite technique had completely forced him to his death. Lord Fazhen fell to the ground with cracks all over his body. In the distant immortal court, the last statue of the magic staff was also gradually collapsing. The three prodigies of the immortal court all perished in the end. Su Yun looked at the dead Lord Fazhen quietly. He took a deep breath and slowly wiped the Lord Fashion's eyes. From the Lord Fazhen, Su Yun obtained a lot of secrets about the immortal court. Although it was forcefully interrupted, he still knew a lot. The three heroes of the immortal court deserved to be called the three heroes. Their cultivation base was strong, and they had never done any evil deeds in the past. However, they were extremely inflexible in their loyalty to the immortal court. They could be said to be the three swords of the immortal court. They would stab wherever the immortal court pointed, and would never disobey the immortal court's order. The three of them had also been personally taught by the immortal court's chief judge. However, after reading part of the Lord Fashion's memory, Su Yun hated the immortal court even more. 5,000 years ago, Rosy Cloud's temple had a treasure called the Wandering Rainbow Pearl. Using this item, one could forcefully open up a unique new world for immortals to cultivate and enjoy. This item attracted the attention of many immortals, and thieves often came to invade. Unfortunately, Rosy Cloud's temple was powerful. No matter how many immortals came, they were all sent to their death. The Wandering Rainbow Pearl had always been stored in Rosy Cloud's temple's Palace Lord Hall. The Palace Lord originally wanted to wait for the materials to be gathered before using this pearl to avoid chaos. Unexpectedly, the day before he was about to use the Wandering Rainbow Pearl, Rosy Cloud's temple was directly razed to the ground overnight. All the 70,000 people in the temple had their souls shattered. Everything in the temple was still there, except for the Wandering Rainbow Pearl. This matter was actually done by the Celestial Venerate. The three prodigies of the Immortal Court had already received this mission from the Immortal Court a year ago. The Celestial Venerate immediately set up 70,000 scarecrows and used their Tao arts to seize their lives. When the Tao arts of the Celestial Venerate reached the grand completion stage, the lives of these 70,000 scarecrows would be taken in an instant. The Tao arts of the Celestial Venerate were profound and exquisite. Apart from this, there was also the black-white divine tree that the Yin-Yang Immortal had painstakingly cultivated. 7,000 years ago, the head judge of the Immortal Court injured his mind because he had comprehended the wrong realm. No one in the world could heal him. Only the roots of the divine tree could heal him. In order to comprehend the immortal world again and find a new Tao, the head judge sent someone to ask the Yin-Yang Immortal for the root. However, the Yin-Yang Immortal refused. If a tree had no roots, how could it survive? He had painstakingly cultivated this divine tree for 100,000 years. He had to use the great Yin-Yang crystal to nurture it every day. It was extremely difficult. How could he let his sweat and tears be taken by the head judge? After being rejected, the head judge sent another person with treasures to exchange for the Yin-Yang Immortal. However, the Immortal Court rejected him again. Unexpectedly, the Yin-Yang Immortal died the third time. The black-white divine tree was also moved away. This incident caused an uproar. Many people from the immortal sects were unhappy when they learned about it. However, the Immortal Court told them that the Yin-Yang Immortal didn't die. He just didn't want to be disturbed by the Immortal Court anymore, so he left with the black-white divine tree. After all, the divine tree had disappeared, and no one had seen the corpse of the Yin-Yang Immortal. Therefore, although many people did not believe the Immortal Court's explanation, they could do nothing about it. Other than that, the immortal court had done all sorts of evil deeds. However, the immortal court was too powerful, so they could only swallow their anger. Of course, other than the past, Su Yun also discovered that the head judge of the immortal court was also eyeing the divine eagle race's treasure, the 9 divine wind heavenly beads. Thinking about it, Su Yun suddenly quivered. In fact, in terms of strength, the main reason why Su Yun's side was unable to fight against the immortal court was because the magic tools and experts on his side were not a match for the immortal court. In terms of numbers, including the true devil realm and the underworld, they could barely be on par, but the immortal court had been operating for so long and had a huge business. But if the divine eagle race was dragged in as well, then it would be different. As the oldest and most powerful clan in the immortal world, it was not that the divine eagle race did not have the qualifications to contend against the immortal court. Thinking about it, Su Yun became excited. "My lord!" At this moment, Xiang Yang suddenly walked in. "What's wrong?" Su Yun turned around. "Reporting to my lord, the informant just reported that there are experts from the immortal court heading towards the Carefree Hall." "People from the immortal court?" Su Yun frowned. "How many people have gone?" "Not a lot, about a dozen or so, but—" Xiang Yang wanted to say something but hesitated. "But what?" "It's just that these people's backgrounds are not small, the informant's cultivation is low, even if he uses magic treasure. He can't see through their cultivation. These people are definitely not ordinary people from the immortal court, they are at least at the 3rd stage of the profound envoy," Xiang Yang said carefully. With that said, Su Yun's face was shocked. Even if it was 10 stage 3 profound envoys, it would still be an incredible thing, not to mention that they might not even have this strength. He thought for a moment, then asked anxiously, "Are the people from the immortal court here to capture Xing Bai or to ask Xing Bai?" "It should be to ask, most likely to investigate the matter of the 3 heroes of the immortal court." "Is there a need for so many experts to investigate the 3 heroes of the immortal court?" Su Yun frowned and said, "With Xing Bai's strength, he can barely fight against an immortal court profound envoy, but this time there are so many, I'm afraid, they are not only here to investigate, they are here to capture people." "Capture people?" Xiang Yang's face changed. Su Yun's eyes flickered, and immediately said, "Quick, pass the order to the true devil realm, let the nether realm and demon realm gather their troops, and pretend to attack the gate of the immortal realm. Immediately inform Wei Ming, let him bring a group of elites, and rush towards the Carefree Hall." "My lord, are you going to kill these people like the 3 heroes of the immortal court?" "It's very difficult, we just fought the 3 heroes of the immortal court. To kill these 10 profound envoys is too difficult, we don't have enough experts, if we use numbers, we will only suffer losses. What we need to do now is to think of a way to get rid of these people, and then immediately move the Carefree Hall to the new base that was opened a few days ago." Su Yun did not dare to hesitate, immediately rushed out of the door, and flew out of the immortal court. "My lord, where are you going?" Xiang Yang shouted anxiously. "Don't worry about me, just do as I say." Su Yun's voice floated in from outside the door. Inside the Carefree Hall, Xing Bai sat on a chair, quietly looking at the 12 people standing below. These 12 people were dressed luxuriously, with accessories on their heads, accessories on their bodies, and accessories on their hands. They were all magic treasures. Not only were they beautiful, but they also had powerful auras. Xing Bai glanced at these people, and realized that he could not sense any of their auras. "My lords from the immortal court have come all the way to my palace. I wonder what business you have with me?" Xing Bai said slowly. He was extremely nervous, but he knew that the more nervous he was, the worse things would get. This time, there were so many experts, he had already guessed their goal, and knew that he would not be able to escape this time. He could only silently pray, and see how the situation would develop. He did not expect Su Yun to come and save him, there were so many experts, and he had just fought with the 3 prodigies of the immortal court. Su Yun did not have the energy to fight these experts. We are the 12 generals of the immortal court, under the command of the chief judge. Sect leader Xingbai, the purpose of our visit this time is very simple. Some time ago, we were ordered by the Immortal Court to investigate the holy war of the Immortal Court, and the Immortal Court's Lord Protector God are currently missing. We came here today to ask sect leader Xingbai, do you know where the 2 of them are? Among the 12 people, an old man with white hair and a white beard spoke. The old man had wrinkled skin and white hair. He wore a yellow robe with golden edges, his hands were behind his back, and an exquisite gourd hung on his waist, giving off an unfathomable feeling. Ah, Lord Holy War and Lord Protector God? They did come to my carefree hall, but they came here to ask me about Lord Sky Sovereign. After I said I don't know, they left. Xingbai said. Left? The old man with white hair and a white beard said in a deep voice. They really left? He didn't die here, did he? Chapter 13:12. Xingbai's expression changed slightly. He forced himself to remain calm and said in a low voice, My lords, what do you mean? Xingbai. I don't understand. I, Xingbai, am merely the sect master of a small sect in the immortal world. I am not strong and there are no experts in my sect. How can I harm the 3 heroes of the immortal court? Whether it's harmful or not, it's not clear with just one mouth. Sect Master Xing, please come with us. The white-haired, white-bearded elder spoke again. How can we do that? Why do we have to go to the immortal court for no reason? Xingbai definitely wouldn't agree. If he went to the immortal court, he might not be able to return. The sacred war and the disappearance of the Lord Fazhen have a great impact on the immortal court and the entire immortal world. Sect Master Xing, please cooperate with us. Don't make things difficult for us. Come with us to the immortal court obediently. Otherwise, it will only bring more trouble to Carefree Hall. The old man's voice became low. Xingbai felt a headache coming on. One after another, he didn't know how to deal with them. That, my lords, if I don't go, what will happen? You don't have the right to choose. It's either you come with us or we invite you, the elder said. Xingbai's heart thumped and he felt a chill down his spine. It seemed like he had no other choice. If these people wanted to take him away by force, the entire Carefree Hall wouldn't be able to stop him. Xingbai fell silent. However, the people below didn't give him any time to think. The elder urged, Sect Master Xing, please give us a definite answer. Will you come with us? Or do you want us to invite you? I'll go with you, Xingbai sighed. Then, please. The elder said slowly. Xingbai bit his lower lip and said, My sect has a few urgent matters to attend to. Can we leave after we're done? What's the urgent matter? It's just a matter of mining resources, it won't take up too much of your time. You've come from afar, so I'm sure you must have had a hard time. I'll have my people prepare some immortal tea for you. How about having a cup of tea and sitting down for a while? Xingbai said hurriedly. These people looked at each other before their gazes finally landed on the old man. The old man nodded. All right, we'll give you half a day. Thank you, thank you. Xingbai smiled, then hurriedly turned around and entered the inner hall. The 12 of them sat quietly in the hall with their eyes closed. When the immortal tea was served, no one touched it. Xingbai, who had just entered the inner hall, was like an ant on a hot pan, anxiously pacing in circles. How is it? Did you send someone to inform the immortal-seeking sect? Xingbai asked the elder of the Carefree Palace. I've already informed him, but... Sect leader, even if the lord of the immortal-seeking sect is extremely powerful, I'm afraid he won't be able to make it here in time. Moreover, there are more than 10 powerful figures here today. What can he do even if he comes? Unless he leads another 1,000,000 people to help us, we might be able to escape this calamity. The elder said bitterly. Xingbai's eyes flickered. Now that things have come to this, we have no other choice. Sect leader, they are coming for you. Why don't you escape from the back door now? Escape? He couldn't escape. These people are extremely powerful. Although they are in the front hall, their aura has already covered the entire Carefree Palace. If I leave, they will definitely capture me on the spot. Xingbai shook his head. Then what should we do? The elder was anxious. Xingbai remained silent. The elder was also in a dilemma. After an unknown amount of time, the elder suddenly came over and carefully whispered into Xingbai's ear. How about, sect leader, you tell the truth to the people of the Immortal Court. Maybe you can still keep your life, tell the truth? Xingbai widened his eyes and looked at him angrily. Are you an idiot? Even if we tell the truth, the Immortal Court will not forgive us. Their resources were destroyed by us. With the temper of the Immortal Court, they will definitely kill us, punish us, and then take our resources. You have been in the immortal world for so long, do you still not know the way the Immortal Court does things? Then what should we do? The elder was at his wits' end. Xingbai thought for a while and finally sighed. Let's stall for time and see if we can wait for the Lord to arrive. But we only have half a day's time. Let's stall for time first. After half a day we will create some chaos and buy more time. Xingbai said helplessly. Hearing this, the elder could only nod. Half a day's time was neither long nor short. At least, it was not long in Xingbai's eyes. Soon, the voice of the white-bearded elder came from the outer hall. Sect leader Xing, half a day's time is up. We should depart. The voice was very low. Xingbai's body trembled. He hesitated for a moment in the inner hall, then finally let out a sigh and walked outside. At that moment, the 12 people outside stood in a straight line, like statues. Although they didn't move or say a word, the aura created by the 12 of them caused Xingbai to tremble with fear and find it hard to breathe. Lords, should we depart now? Xingbai took a slight breath and asked carefully. Are we waiting for someone? The elder's eyes flashed with a strange light. Oh no. Xingbai looked towards the corner and saw that the elder standing in the corner quietly nodded and then left. Seeing this, Xingbai smiled and said, Lords, please go ahead. The 12 people did not say anything. They turned around and flew outside. However, just as the 12 people left, a ray of blue light suddenly shot from afar and instantly hit the 12 people's bodies. Crack! Crack, crack! The bodies of these people were immediately sealed in ice. One by one, they fell from the sky like statues. However, before these 12 individuals landed on the ground, large amounts of pitch-black iron chains rushed over from all directions, binding these 12 individuals tightly. Meanwhile, many dark blue symbols appeared on the iron chains. They flickered with radiance like lightning, making one feel extremely tense. Good! Seeing this, Xingbai immediately shouted, Good! Numerous restraining boundaries came from all directions and directly sealed the 12 ice sculptures. It turned out that the disciples who pretended to be gardening and cutting grass around the entrance were all people arranged by the elders of Carefree Palace. These 12 people's cultivation was very strong, so the people of Carefree Palace did not dare to be too obvious. If they were discovered, they would be finished. Seeing that the 12 people were actually trapped, Xingbai did not dare to waste any more time. He immediately took out his magic treasure and planned to continue to trap these people. He knew that with the strength of these disciples, it was impossible to trap them for too long. Xingbai took out a porcelain bottle with a yellow talisman hanging on it. He closed his eyes and muttered something. The talisman on the porcelain bottle shook continuously, then turned into fragments and stuck on the porcelain bottle. The mouth of the porcelain bottle emitted a suction force and directly sucked the 12 people inside. Xingbai took out another talisman from nowhere and directly sealed the mouth of the bottle. He turned to the surrounding disciples and shouted, Quick, call everyone, retreat immediately! Yes. The disciples did not dare to delay and immediately moved. Retreat? Retreat where? At this moment, a low voice suddenly came out from the porcelain bottle in Xing Bai's hand. Then, the porcelain bottle suddenly exploded. Xing Bai was caught off guard and his whole body was blown away. He fell in the hall and vomited blood. He stood up with difficulty and saw 12 figures in front of him. They were the 12 mysterious envoys of the immortal court. At this moment, they were standing in front of Xing Bai unscathed. There was not a single trace of injury on their bodies. It was as if they had deliberately restrained Xing Bai. You! Xing Bai was dumbfounded. So many restraints, so many powerful magic treasures, but they did not have any effect on these people. What were their cultivation levels? How could their strength be so terrifying? It seems that you do not intend to obediently follow us back to the immortal court. In that case, we have no choice but to invite you over. The old man said and stretched out his hand to grab Xing Bai. Xing Bai immediately gathered his qi to resist. But just as he gathered his qi, his chest suddenly suffered a heavy blow. He vomited a mouthful of blood and fell weakly to the ground. He did not have much strength left. Looking at it, the bald man beside the old man with bulging muscles punched out. Just one punch. Xing Bai was crippled. This combat strength was far beyond Xing Bai's strength. He was at least a second-rank mysterious envoy of the immortal court. Xing Bai felt as if his chest was being torn apart. This pain seemed to affect his soul. The old man was expressionless as he grabbed Xing Bai's body and walked outside. The disciples outside looked at the 12 people walking out in fear. They were trembling, but no one dared to go forward. Even the powerful sect leader could not last more than a few moves in front of them, let alone these ordinary disciples. Although this was the carefree hall, everyone knew that if they rushed in first, they would definitely die. There was no third option. What should we do with these people? A woman among the 12 people asked the old man. The old man glanced at the crowd and said indifferently, "The Carefree Palace is a great immortal sect after all. The sect is rich in resources, which can be used to supply the immortal court. Kill all these people and let the people of the immortal court come and take over the resources here." "All right." The woman nodded and raised a long and thin staff in her hand, as if she was going to cast a spell. The people of the Carefree Palace were shocked when they heard this. They could not believe what they had just heard. Could it be that the Carefree Palace was sentenced to death just like this? Just because of such an unjustifiable reason? However, in the next second, a bolt of lightning struck among these disciples. Dozens of disciples instantly turned into ashes and died. At this moment, the people of the Carefree Palace knew that the people of the immortal court were not joking. Today was the doomsday of the Carefree Palace. Chapter 13:13. Why was this happening? How could this be? Xing Bai's eyes widened as he looked at the disciples of Carefree Palace who were running around in all directions. They had fought with the immortal court's law gods and saints before, and many of them were exhausted and injured. Facing these even more terrifying existences, they had no way of fighting back. These people were like wolves pouncing on a flock of sheep, crazily killing without any mercy. The people of Carefree Palace were like wheat that had been cut down. One by one, they fell down, and most of them did not even have a complete corpse. Xing Bai clenched his teeth. His eyes were bloodshot as he watched the scene. He knew that he was not a qualified sect leader. Back then, he chose to follow Su Yun for the sake of benefits. But, even if he was not qualified, these people were still very important to him. Seeing the disciples of Carefree Palace being killed one after another, Xing Bai felt as if his heart was about to be torn apart, but he was powerless. The current him could not even protect himself. "Run! Run!" The elder who was preparing to ambush rushed out and shouted at the disciple. But just as he finished speaking, he was struck by a ray of rainbow light. His body instantly collapsed and his soul was destroyed. He was instantly killed. Elder Lu. Xing Bai's hoarse voice was filled with mournful emotions as he shouted. Let's go. Grabbing Xing Bai, the old man leaped into the air and flew toward the exit. At this moment, inside Carefree Palace, it was already surrounded by fear and despair. Facing these 12 people, it was as if they were facing an undefeatable giant. They already had no hope of survival. But, just as the old man flew out, suddenly, a mournful black light struck his body. The old man was caught off guard and fell from the sky. Xing Bai did not manage to hold on to him and he broke free. When the other 11 people saw this, they immediately gathered around the old man and surrounded him. At the same time, they looked towards the direction where the light came from. Master, are you all right? One of them asked with concern. I'm fine. I just didn't want this big shot to come. The old man slowly stood up. Looking at his indifferent expression, it seemed that the attack just now did not cause him any harm. The 12 of them looked up into the sky and saw that the sky had turned dark without them noticing. A large amount of demonic aura filled the sky. A man wearing a black cloak and holding a sword in one hand was floating in the air, looking at the 12 of them coldly. Those bloodshot eyes were like 2 bottomless abysses. The baleful aura was extremely strong. Although he was alone, he was not at a disadvantage against the 12 experts of the Immortal Court. It seems like Xing Bai is indeed related to the demons. Holy War, Lord Fa Zhen, and Lord Tianzuan must have been harmed by you, right? The old man said slowly. The 3 prodigies of the Immortal Court are truly the 3 prodigies. Although they are being used by others, they are indeed doing things according to the principles of the Immortal Court. They truly want to maintain the order of the immortal world. But you guys are different. You are just using their blind loyalty to benefit yourselves and the Immortal Court. Su Yun said indifferently. The current Immortal Court on the surface is bright, but in reality, the inside is already rotten. The world does not know, but the world will soon know. Looks like you know something. The old man's face turned cold and a trace of anxiety flashed in his eyes. Su Yun did not make a sound. Just then, the 12 of them rushed over and surrounded Su Yun. If I'm not wrong, you should be the true Devil Realm's Demon Lord, right? To be able to possess such strength, I'm afraid you are the only one in the true Devil Realm. Compared to Xing Bai, you seem to be more important to me. As the old man spoke, he did not waste any more words and directly struck towards Su Yun with his palm. From the looks of it, these people planned to take Su Yun down first before talking to him properly. The palm looked like a withered tree branch, extremely powerless, as if it would break if it were to be forcefully broken. But just as the palm approached Su Yun, a large amount of astral stone-like material suddenly condensed on the palm, completely wrapping around the fragile palm. Su Yun frowned, with a backhand swing, the dual moon sword's blade pressed against the palm. However, the old man's attack did not end there. The astral stone-like palm directly grabbed onto the dual moon sword's blade, and the astral stone on the palm spread out like poison along the dual moon sword, quickly turning the entire sword into a stone sword, and the astral stone continued to envelop Su Yun's body. He wanted to turn Su Yun into a statue. At the same time, the remaining 11 people attacked Su Yun at the same time. Eagle soars to the 9 heavens. Great Thunder Blast Technique. Hellfire Divine Flame. Dragon shakes the earth. All sorts of extremely powerful spells were smashed towards Su Yun. These people did not hold back at all. Many of these killing moves could even destroy souls. They did not seem to plan to capture Su Yun alive. But, just as these killing techniques were about to hit him, the astral stones that were about to cover Su Yun's body suddenly cracked, and all of them turned into dust and fell down, and the techniques also disappeared in an instant, and no one knew where they went. The old man was surprised, but before he could react, the sharp dual moon sword had pierced through his palm. Looking closely, it turned out that the astral stones on the old man's palm had all disappeared, revealing his withered palm. Without any defense, the sharp blade could easily pierce through it. The old man snorted and immediately retreated. The remaining 11 people did not dare to rashly step forward. Divine power? The old man frowned and muttered indifferently. However, Su Yun did not let go of this opportunity. He raised his sword and rushed forward. At this moment, he had already activated the power of the Devil Saint Devil Soul. With the strength of the Peak Spirit God, coupled with the Imperial Battle Robe and the Dual Moon Sword, the power he unleashed was extremely terrifying. Humph, don't think that you're the only one with divine power. However, the old man snorted and suddenly rushed over. A faint layer of brownish-yellow aura also leaked out from the surface of his body, like a burning flame. This was also divine power. However, the old man's divine power was different from the divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe. His divine power had an even more mystical power, and Su Yun realized that the moment he activated his divine power, the injuries on his hands immediately healed, and an endless recovery power wrapped around his skinny body. Su Yun frowned, he raised his sword and slashed forward. However, the old man did not dodge, and struck out with his palm as well. The dual moon sword pierced through the old man's chest. However, as if the old man did not know the pain, his palm continued to smash towards his chest. Bang! Su Yun was unable to dodge, and forcefully took the attack. His entire body was sent flying. He tumbled a few times in the air before stabilizing his body. Although the Imperial Battle Robe had blocked a lot of the attack's power, it was still painful when it landed on his chest. Looking at the old man again, a shocking scene appeared. The old man acted as if nothing had happened, and the sword wound on his body was healing at an astonishing speed. Not only that, even the clothes on his body had completely healed. Recovery! Su Yun suddenly realized that the old man's divine power was actually a divine power that could give a person a strong recovery ability. Su Yun frowned, his face gloomy. At this time, he could not fight for too long. He had to think of a way to move Xing Bai and the people of Carefree Palace away. Su Yun thought, but just as he was thinking, the 12 people rushed over and surrounded Su Yun. Seeing that, Su Yun immediately turned and rushed out, as though he wanted to escape. Chase! The old man did not hesitate at all and immediately chased after Su Yun. Master, what should Carefree Palace do? The people behind him were hesitant. Taoistly, inform the Celestial Court immediately and let them spread the news to the Celestial Sect that the Carefree Palace is colluding with the Demon Dwellers. Ask them to seal the Celestial Sect and send people to control the people of the Carefree Palace. The Carefree Palace is in the Celestial World, so they can't escape. However, we don't know who this person is. Let's take him down first. The old man shouted. Hearing that, the 11 people no longer hesitated and surrounded Su Yun. In fact, the old man thought that with the combined encirclement of the 12 experts on his side, it would be difficult for Su Yun to escape, and if he did not care about Su Yun, he would not be able to bring Xing Bai away. Instead of that, it would be better to take down Su Yun first, and then deal with Carefree Palace. The 12 of them were immediately attracted away by Su Yun, and Xing Bai was also helped up by the disciples of Carefree Palace who had arrived later. The disciples stuffed a few pills into Xing Bai's mouth, and the 2 elders imbued Xing Bai with some immortal qi to heal his wounds. Only then did Xing Bai recover. Sect leader, what should we do now? An elder said. Let's go to the Immortal Seeking Sect immediately. Xing Bai said while gasping for breath. Then what about the things in our sect? The elder asked in shock. Xing Bai quickly thought for a moment, then secretly clenched his teeth and said, Bring everything that you can bring, destroy everything that you can't. Everyone move quickly, don't feel sorry, don't be lenient. Quickly do it. The surrounding people were shocked, but since Xing Bai had spoken, they did not dare to disobey, and immediately ran away. Sect leader. Just then, a disciple ran over anxiously. Xing Bai's body trembled. He looked at the disciple and said, "What's wrong? Could it be that the people from the immortal court are here again?" "No, sect leader, it's those people just now. Before they left, they used some kind of magic treasure to completely seal our carefree palace. We can't get out." The disciple cried out. "What?" Hearing that, Xing Bai's face turned ashen. That's right, those 12 immortals were not idiots. How could they just ignore Xing Bai's side? They used magic treasures to seal this place, and if Xing Bai broke their magic treasures, then the immortal court's reinforcements would most likely arrive. "It's over. It's all over," Xing Bai muttered. "What's over? What are you talking about? Don't be so desperate. Haven't you heard of the saying, 'There's light at the end of the tunnel'?" Just then, a voice came from outside. Xing Bai's body trembled. He looked towards the source of the voice, only to see Kai Tian leading a large group of 8 Harmonies sect elites, standing outside the carefree palace. Chapter 13-14. Although Su Yun's speed was extremely fast, the people following behind him were not slow either. They were like streaks of rainbow light, flying through the sky, and behind Su Yun, there were often colorful spells that appeared. Although the Imperial Battle Robe could protect him from being attacked by these immortal techniques, these attacks would consume the divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe. In this way, Su Yun was in a passive state. If this continued, once the divine power was emptied, it would be dangerous. Su Yun took a light breath, and immediately activated his immortal qi, releasing all the flying swords from the sword sheath behind him. The flying swords flew wildly, and shot towards the 12 people behind him. When the bald man saw this, he immediately raised his hands and roared forward. The tip of his fist immediately released a large amount of earthen yellow gas, which turned into a huge thick wall, blocking in front of everyone. The sharp sword slashed over, but was blocked by the thick wall, and the sharp sword could not advance even an inch. His defense was really strong. Su Yun frowned, but this move also made the 12 of them unable to use their immortal arts to attack Su Yun. Su Yun took the opportunity and immediately retracted his sword. At the same time, he activated the divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe. The immortal energy in his body also activated and gathered in his eyes. In an instant, an illusion shot out from Su Yun's eyes. Yin-Yang Manifestation Art. The moment the thick wall collapsed, the Yin-Yang Manifestation Art was instantly used on the white-bearded old man. The white-bearded old man's entire body trembled, and he felt his vision sway, and his head became dizzy. He immediately understood that he had been hit by the opponent's illusion technique, and immediately concentrated, wanting to clear this state. The white-bearded old man stopped, but the 11 of them might not stop. They were like hungry tigers pouncing on sheep, rushing towards Su Yun. Su Yun's face congealed. Although he had activated the power of the Devil Saint Devil Soul, it did not make Su Yun invincible. Facing so many experts, he was still powerless. Especially after activating the divine power and the Yin-Yang Manifestation Art, the immortal energy in his body was immediately reduced by nearly half. Bang 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 bang. When Su Yun activated the Yin-Yang Manifestation Art, his speed dropped by a lot. When the 11 people attacked him, all of their techniques landed solidly on his body, causing a series of loud noises. The terrifying power seemed to want to completely tear apart the Imperial Battle Robe on his body. He gritted his teeth and continued to activate the Yin-Yang Manifestation Art. It wasn't easy to use this illusion technique on the white-bearded old man, and it consumed a lot of celestial force. However, if he didn't use this technique and just kept running, it wouldn't work. But it was absolutely impossible for him to continue enduring it like this. His eyes flickered with a cold light. He planned to use some more immortal energy to summon the Devil Bone Spirit and temporarily force these people away. However, just as he was about to activate his immortal power, a ray of light suddenly shot out from behind Su Yun and directly struck those people. Su Yun frowned. He turned his head to look, only to see a group of disguised existences appearing behind him. It was Wei Ming and the others. Although he was in disguise, Su Yun could still tell who he was. Wei Ming. She didn't expect him to arrive so quickly. Although Wei Ming came in a hurry, he was still prepared. He took out a crystal magic treasure from who knows where, bit his finger and smeared his blood on the crystal, drew a few runes, and then threw it towards Su Yun. Clang! The crystal exploded, transforming into a large amount of dust. When the dust landed on people's bodies, it was as if they were pressing down on the sky. Those people who were touched by the dust instantly fell down, not to mention attacking Su Yun. What a powerful magic treasure! To activate such a magic treasure, it would probably consume a lot of immortal power, right? Furthermore, the dust did not even touch Su Yun. It could be seen that Wei Ming had deliberately paid attention to it. He turned his head to look at Wei Ming, only to see that his face was extremely pale, and he was unsteady. Fortunately, the people beside him held him back in time. Seeing that, Su Yun did not dare hesitate and immediately shouted, "Let's go!" "Yes, sir." Everyone immediately ran forward. The immortals that were smashed by the dust immediately rushed out. Seeing that Su Yun had already escaped into the sky, they immediately wanted to chase after him. Although Su Yun was close to 1,000 miles away from these people, to immortals of their level, this distance was nothing. If they wanted to chase after him, Su Yun would not be able to escape. "Where are you going?" Just as the 11 of them were about to chase after Su Yun, a voice suddenly called out to them. Everyone was startled. They looked towards the source of the voice, only to see the white-bearded old man staring at them with a serious expression, and said in a deep voice, "They ran this way, why are you rushing over there?" What's going on? Isn't he over there?" Everyone was confused. They had no idea what the old man was talking about. But the old man had already leaped, rushing in the opposite direction of Su Yun, and shouted, "What are you still standing there for? Why aren't you following me to chase and kill? If you let them go, I will punish you." Didn't you hear me?" the old man shouted again. "Yes, sir." Everyone was intimidated. They did not dare go against the old man's wishes, and immediately followed the old man into the sky. Their speed was ridiculously fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had already traveled over 10,000 miles. However, as they continued to fly forward, they did not see any trace of Su Yun, causing the 11 of them to be extremely suspicious. There was no trace of him in front of them, nor was there any aura of that person. It was impossible for him to disappear into thin air, right? After flying for a full 20 breaths of time, the old man's entire body trembled, and he recovered from Su Yun's yin-yang manifestation art. He looked at the boundless sky in front of him, and his expression suddenly changed. "Not good, I've been tricked." "Lord, what's wrong?" the people behind him hurriedly asked. "I was hit by that kid's illusion technique, and my mind was confused by his illusion. I was tricked." The old man gritted his teeth. "They have already fled in the opposite direction." "What?" Everyone found it hard to believe. They were well aware of the old man's strength, but no one had expected that such an expert would be tricked. Then, just how strong was this person? How exquisite was the illusion technique? What a great humiliation! The old man was furious. He immediately turned and rushed towards the place where Su Yun had truly escaped to. "Sir, you were just careless for a moment, don't take it to heart." The people beside him hurriedly comforted him. "What should we do now?" "What else?" "Everyone, follow me and chase after them. Even if they escape to the ends of the earth, I will capture them." "Ah!" The old man's roar reverberated through the sky. Chase? Naturally, they were unable to catch up. After running for a while, Su Yun had Wei Ming remove his disguise and hid inside the sword sheath. Once he entered the sword sheath, his aura would be cut off. Even if the 12 immortal court experts wanted to chase after him, it would be impossible. Just like that, the group returned to the Immortal Seeking Sect without any mishap. Upon entering the Immortal Seeking Sect, Kai Tian, Xiang Yang and the rest immediately rushed over. Lord, are you all right? Xiang Yang looked at Su Yun and said anxiously. I'm fine, quickly bring Wei Ming to rest. He used a powerful magic treasure, causing him to use up all of his immortal qi, running all the way, his body can no longer take it. Su Yun said in a serious tone. Yes. Xiang Yang did not dare to delay, and immediately sent people to bring Wei Ming and the group of Great Ling Long Palace elites to rest. After Wei Ming was settled, Su Yun immediately asked Kai Tian, Where are the people from Carefree Palace? It's already been arranged. Kai Tian nodded. Sect leader Xing arrived not long before Master returned and has been settled down. Alright. Su Yun nodded his head. Let them recuperate first. The Immortal Court will not be able to find this place for a while. Kai Tian, how is the matter I told you to do? Everything has been arranged. Kai Tian cupped his fists and said, This subordinate has transferred 70% of the manpower from the 8 Harmonies sect to a new area to set up a base. The basic pavilion has been built, and we are currently constructing formations, enchantments, and some basic defenses. When the people from Carefree Palace have more or less recovered, bring them over. When does Master plan to move in? When we can no longer stay here, we can go over. Su Yun said coldly. The continuous actions have caused my 2 sects to suffer losses, and the strength in my hands has been greatly reduced, so I will not be taking any actions for the time being. However, the Immortal Court will definitely not be having a good time in the near future. With a large amount of resources destroyed, it will definitely affect the Immortal Court's entire resource chain, and with the resource chain shaken, the various departments of the Immortal Court will also slow down. It's only been a day, you can do whatever you need in this period of time, and inform me if you need anything. Yes, Master. You may leave. Su Yun took a deep breath. Kai Tian bowed and turned to leave. Su Yun walked to the chair at the top and sat down, closing his eyes to rest. A petite figure walked in, carrying a pot of fragrant tea. She gently placed it beside him, and the pleasant sound of tea being poured came out. Su Yun slowly opened his eyes, only to see a sweet, smiling face. Drink. She raised the cup and said. Su Yun smiled and received it. After drinking all the water in the cup, the figure boldly sat on Su Yun's lap. Tired? A little. Shall I give you a massage? Her soft hands gently pinched Su Yun's shoulders. She channeled some profound qi, and from her fingertips, it flowed into Su Yun's shoulders. Although it was very small, it was very warm. He closed his eyes, opened his mouth slightly, and exhaled, as if he was enjoying it. There was no killing. There was no blood. There was no noise. No grudges. There was no conflict of interest. He really wanted everything to stop at this second, he thought. However, the cruelty of reality often made him hate it. Cough, cough, a light cough came out. Su Yun looked over, only to see Su Luluo walking in expressionlessly. Chapter 13-15. Su Luluo's cultivation was not high, of course, it was a level higher than Hu Qianmei's. After all, Hu Qianmei had not been in the immortal world for long. No matter how talented she was, no matter how good the spirit pellets Su Yun gave her, it was impossible for her to surpass Su Luluo, an existence who had been in the immortal world for countless years, in such a short period of time. Su Luluo walked in, but Hu Qianmei did not intentionally anger Su Luluo. She jumped down from Su Yun's leg, and only leaned on him tenderly, and did not leave. Su Yun was a little embarrassed. He wanted to say something, but could not say it. After a long while, he finally said, Luluo, you're here. What's the matter? There is indeed something. Su Luluo's voice was unexpectedly not as stiff as his expression. It should be said that in such a short period of time, Su Liulua's expression had also become much gentler and more beautiful. She said softly, "It's about the Jiangyun Palace, everything is already in progress. I believe that after a period of time, the Jiangyun Palace's side will have an effect." Su Yun was interested. "Do you think there is a high chance of success?" "If nothing unexpected happens, I'm 90% sure," Su Luluo said with certainty. Su Yun nodded and did not say anything else. But just then, Su Luluo spoke again. "Big brother, although you have tried your best to protect the Hidden Dragon Hall and the Carefree Palace, these two sects are no longer able to move freely in the immortal world. Furthermore, I think that even though you have the 8 Harmonies sect work overtime to build a hidden temporary base, sooner or later, this base will be exposed." "What do you want to say?" "Big brother, you should make preparations early. The Immortal Court has too many methods. I have received news from Xiao Chua. The current Immortal Court has gone crazy. The Immortal Court has stopped all unimportant missions, and focused all of their power on pacifying the immortal world, especially the problem of the immortal world Devil Cultivator. The Immortal Court has already invested half of their power into it. They have started to look for a new envoy and are also building a new weapon of destruction. All of the departments are operating, they are not idle, they are not thinking about consolidating their position in the immortal world, they have already looked down on the so-called reputation, they only have one thing in their mind, and that is to eliminate all those who provoke them." "Is that so?" Su Yun frowned. After thinking for a while, he asked, "You said that the Immortal Court has built a new killing weapon? Xiao Chua, do you know what kind of weapon it is?" "I don't know. Although Xiao Ling has successfully become the Minister of Resource Department, her power isn't that great. However, she is responsible for providing the materials for this weapon. So, we can guess her function." Xiao Ling said that if this weapon is successfully forged, it may become a sharp weapon for the Immortal Court to plunder resources. "Plunder resources?" Su Yun was shocked. "You've destroyed more than half of the Immortal Court's resources. If they don't solve the resource problem soon, the Immortal Court will fall into chaos." "But didn't you say that their current focus is to wipe out all those who provoke them?" "That's exactly what I said. But no one took this so-called provocateur seriously, except for the Immortal Court," Su Luluo said lightly. Hearing that, Su Yun already knew what Su Luluo meant. Currently, the Immortal Court was planning to attack those immortal sects with groundless accusations. He had to seize the resources to alleviate the current crisis of the Immortal Court. Otherwise, the Immortal Court wouldn't be able to send out any forces to deal with the future turmoil. In the entire immortal world, there was nothing that could be done without money. The so-called immortal coin was just a type of resource. With money, materials, and resources, one could have everything. If the Immortal Court does this, it will definitely arouse the dissatisfaction of the various sects in the immortal world. At that time, more and more people will stand up to resist the Immortal Court. Su Luluo said, "Aren't they already gathering resources from the various immortal sects? Why are they still plundering?" "I don't know about that, but Xiao Chua said that there were already conflicts within the Immortal Court, and a group of troops under the Minister of the Martial Department of the Immortal Court protested to the Immortal Court. After all, there had been more and more dangerous battles in the Immortal Court recently, and with the destruction of their resources, the resources distributed by the Immortal Court's Ministry of Works and the Pill Division had become more and more inferior, and could not satisfy them, who were used to using superior resources. They were dissatisfied with this, and complained to the higher-ups, but just as they reported their intentions to the Minister of the Martial Department, they were beaten back, and the dozen or so people who had drafted the complaints were all executed. This matter caused quite a commotion within the Immortal Court. Although the Minister of the Martial Department admitted that he was too rash and admitted his wrongs in front of everyone, I think that this matter has already left an unresolvable knot in the hearts of the soldiers at the bottom of the Immortal Court. I believe that the people at the bottom of the Immortal Court are already resentful. The leaders of the immortal court are not idiots, they naturally know about this, which is why they have become even more aggressive, from the previous collection to the later robbery. Rob! Su Yun snorted. Although I destroyed nearly half of his resources, but such a huge immortal court, the immortal court that has been in operation for so long, how can there be chaos because of this? How did they get here when they didn't have so many resources? After so many years, don't tell me they don't have any reserves? Is there no way to deal with it? Why did he have to rely on this method to replenish himself? This is simply drawing fire to oneself. I thought about it at first, but when I kept communicating with Xiao Chua, I figured it all out. Su Luluo said slowly. Actually, there are two reasons why the higher-ups of the immortal court might do this, which might arouse the anger of the immortal world and cause the reputation of the immortal court to be destroyed. Which two? 1. Seize the treasure. Su Luluo said with a serious face. During this period of chaos, the immortal court used groundless accusations to plunder the people of these immortal sects. After plundering, everything in this sect was confiscated in name, including the immortal sects that the immortal court had always been eyeing but did not dare to act recklessly due to their own laws. Secondly, there is no such thing as a stockpile in the immortal court. Xiao Chua revealed to me that the so-called supreme experts south of the immortal court consume an astronomical amount of materials and resources every year. In fact, most of the tributes that the immortal court has collected over the years have been taken by the supreme experts south of the immortal court to cultivate, and there are not many resources given to the lower echelons of the immortal court. Hearing that, Su Yun fell into deep thought. This was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Regardless of whether it was the immortal court or the immortal sects, Su Yun was not surprised by this. Since the immortal court wants to do this, then let them be. We temporarily do not have the energy to fight with the immortal court. Su Yun said indifferently. But brother, if you don't make preparations now, it will be too late when the immortal court targets the immortal seeking sect. Su Luluo said. Hearing that, Su Yun felt that Su Luluo seemed to have some thoughts, and immediately said, Luluo, do you have any suggestions? Su Luluo nodded his head and said with a serious face, Big brother, do you know that there is actually a treasure in the Jiangyun Palace? If you can obtain it, you can quickly strengthen yourself and weaken the immortal court. Treasure? What treasure? Su Yun was interested. This treasure is called the Flowing Feather Mysterious Fan. It is said that the person who wields this fan only needs to wave it lightly to blow open the earth and split the sky. No immortal would be able to withstand a single wave from it. It is extremely powerful. Oh? There's such a treasured fan? Treasure is a treasure, but it can't be used to fan people. The greatest use of this item is to travel, or to move things. Su Luluo smiled slightly. Su Yun was not an idiot. Hearing that, he already understood the meaning behind Su Luluo's words. Since that's the case, Luluo, let's wait for the news from the Jiangyun Palace first. After the matters with the Jiangyun Palace are over, I will personally make a trip there and inform Xiao Chua. Su Yun said. All right then, Luluo will go and prepare. After Su Luluo finished speaking, he slowly left the house. Hu Qianmei, who was at the side, had been looking at Hu Qianmei the entire time. She had a smile on her face, but did not say a word. The two of them were so focused on talking that they forgot about her existence. When she came in, she was clearly very angry, but for some reason she was angry for a while, but quickly felt relieved. This sister of yours is really unfathomable. Just then, Hu Qianmei suddenly spoke up. I really can't understand her, but I believe in her. Su Yun said. You told me before that you and she are not biological siblings, nor are you related by blood. Then why is she staying by your side? Could it be that she likes you? What are you thinking about? Su Yun fiercely spanked Hu Qianmei's little butt and said in a serious tone. Others are doing that to repay a debt of gratitude. Hu Qianmei cried out softly, causing Su Yun's heart to itch. He saw her small mouth curling up slightly, and Qiu Bo said, "Such a beautiful person, with your personality, how can you let her go? I'm afraid that even if she's not interested, you won't just watch her slip away, right? What do you take me for? Beast!" Su Liulua's efficiency had indeed surprised Su Yun. In less than 7 days, news came from the Jiangyun Palace, and it was not from the immortal-seeking sect's spies, but from the disciples who had gathered information from the outside. It turned out that rumors had been spreading in the Jiangyun Palace recently, saying that the reason why the Jiangyun Palace had made a large-scale operation a while ago was because Palace Master Qiu Yuelu was afraid of the immortal-seeking sect's sect leader Su Yun. Not long after this rumor came out, another message came out, saying that Qiu Yuelu had a secret agreement with the Immortal Court, and that there were people who had seen the Immortal Court enter the Jiangyun Palace time and time again, but they did not know why they had come. Whether it was Qiu Yuelu retreating without a fight or the so-called visit from the Immortal Court, these rumors only caused a small commotion. It was impossible for an immortal sect like the Jiangyun Palace to fall into chaos because of these two small rumors. Su Yun did not believe it either, but he knew that the real show was yet to come, and all he needed to do was wait quietly. As expected, after another 7 days, an explosive piece of news came out from the Jiangyun Palace. Chapter 13-16. What? The cabinet has jointly impeached Qiu Yuelu? Hearing Su Liulua's report, Su Yun almost stood up from his chair in shock. Yes. Su Liulua nodded his head and said, Qiu Yuelu did not go through the cabinet's decision and used the Jiangyun Palace's treasure, Jiangyun liquid, causing the cabinet to impeach him. Right now, Qiu Yuelu and the cabinet are at loggerheads, and the situation in the Jiangyun Palace is getting more and more chaotic. Su Yun smiled slightly. Why would Qiu Yuelu use the treasure Jiangyun liquid for no reason? Furthermore, even though the Jiangyun liquid is the treasure of the Jiangyun Palace, why can't Qiu Yuelu use it? In the entire immortal world, only Jiangyun Palace possesses such a spiritual land, and the core of this spiritual land is the Jiangyun liquid. The Jiangyun liquid must not be contaminated, or the effects of the bejeweled nectar will be greatly reduced. Recently, Qiu Yuelu's son was injured by accident, and his injury could only be healed by the Jiangyun liquid. Qiu Yuelu wanted to use it to save his son, but the inner pavilion did not allow it. Hence, he forcefully extracted the Jiangyun liquid to heal his son, which naturally caused the inner pavilion to be dissatisfied. How did his son get injured? Su Yun looked at Su Liuluo. However, Su Liuluo only smiled and did not say anything. It seemed like this was another one of Su Liulua's methods. Su Yun exhaled and laughed. All right, I understand. Next, we should be watching the internal strife between the cabinet and Qiu Yuelu, right? Although the Jiangyun Palace is a large sect governed by the sect leader and the inner force, in truth, the sect leader's power is higher than the cabinet's. This matter, the cabinet will make a ruckus, after all, it concerns their interests, but the people in the cabinet are not idiots. Once the ruckus reaches a certain point, they will definitely calm the matter down. The reason for the impeachment, the reason for the ruckus, is just to warn Qiu Yuelu, their own people. Why would they make a big deal out of it? Su Liuluo said. Then Liuluo, what other preparations do you have? Of course. Su Liuluo said. Right now we have only lost a portion of the benefits of the Jiangyun Palace, but we have not suffered any serious injuries. But if we were to force the people in the cabinet into a corner, how could they just impeach us? Su Yun nodded his head. He did not say anything. It was better to leave the matter of attacking the heart to Su Liuluo. Su Liuluo went down to prepare, and a few days later, the tributes from Jiangyun Palace arrived. Qiu Yuelu had seen Su Yun's strength before, and no longer dared to look down on this so-called third-rate immortal sect. The tributes were not light either. the immortal pearls and immortal pills were stored in barrels, and the immortal equipment and stones were carried in boxes. Su Yun asked Xiang Yang to remember the portion of the tributes this time, and wait for the next time. During this period of time, he only focused on cultivating in the immortal-seeking sect and dealing with some trivial matters. However, a few days later, Xiang Yang sent him a treasure. Su Yun looked at it carefully. The treasure was just a very ordinary glove, grayish-brown in color. The surface was covered with yellowish-brown patterns. It looked very ordinary, but it was something that Xiang Yang had taken from the treasures that the immortal sect had offered to the immortal court. This glove was called the Spatial Removal Glove. It could pluck a person from 1,000,000 miles away without leaving a trace. It was extremely mysterious. It was the famous flying dragon great sage of the immortal world back then. To be able to pluck a person from 1,000,000 miles away, it truly surprised Su Yun. His eyesight was only from 100,000 miles away. It was enough to show how high the grade of the treasure was. With this, if he could obtain the flowing feather Xianzun fan, it would be a perfect match. Su Luluo was also well aware of this point. Not long after, news came from the Jiangyun Palace again. It was still related to Qiu Yuelu, and this matter could be said to have caused Qiu Yuelu's prestige to plummet. It turned out that Su Luluo had arranged for another person from the immortal court to go to the Jiangyun Palace to discuss with Qiu Yuelu. This so-called person from the immortal court was naturally the famous junior of the immortal court, the fourth-rank envoy, Xiao Chua. As the Minister of Resources, Xiao Chua had some power in the immortal court. Her position was largely due to her own hard work, but she was also proud of Su Yun's help in the dark. In order to help her obtain the position of the Minister of Resources, Su Yun had secretly revealed many secrets about the people of the true Devil Realm, and had even given Xiao Chua a few resource areas that had already been occupied by Su Yun. Now that the situation in the immortal court was tense, Xiao Chua naturally could not be idle, but in order to help Su Yun take down the Jiangyun Palace, she had no choice but to put aside the matters in her hands and rush over to the Jiangyun Palace, using her identity as the Minister of the Immortal Court to enter the Jiangyun Palace. Qiu Yuelu completely did not understand why the Minister of Resources would come here for no reason, and Xiao Chua's discussion with him was even more baffling. Increase the tribute to the Immortal Court? When Qiu Yuelu heard Xiao Chua's words, he was at a loss and said, Master Xiao, 3 months ago, the Immortal Court's edict had already been issued. According to the past tribute, another 40% increase is already extremely difficult for our Jiangyun Palace. If we were to increase the tribute to the Immortal Court, then it would undoubtedly be worse. Qiu Yuelu said with a helpless expression. Adding insult to injury? That's not right, right? Xiao Chua frowned. As far as I know, the Jiangyun Palace's inventory is still very full, and the people of the Jiangyun Palace are all extremely wealthy. I've never heard of it. Why? Could it be that sect leader Qiu is unwilling to pay the tribute? Right now, the Immortal Court is in an extremely critical moment. Any immortal sect has to contribute their strength to protect the laws of the immortal world and the judicial department of the immortal world. If you are not willing, are you not recognizing the Immortal Court? Xiao Chua said it lightly, but this sentence caused Qiu Yuelu's soul to leave his body, and he trembled to the extreme. What is Master Xiao saying? How would I dare to not recognize the Immortal Court? It's just that. Lord Xiao, what you've heard are all rumors. Our Jiangyun Palace has 9 resource areas that were passed down from the hands of our ancestors, and now, only 4.5 are left. It's already not easy for us to barely maintain the expenses of the people in the sect. How is it rich? Bang! Xiao Chua slammed the table and stood up abruptly. His heroic eyes looked at Qiu Yuelu coldly and he snorted. Why? Sect leader Qiu is unwilling? My words are not baseless. What I have heard is naturally from the people of your Jiangyun Palace. Could it be that your Jiangyun Palace is playing with me? Or is it really as sect leader Chiu said? The Jiangyun Palace is now extremely weak, and is unable to support the Immortal Court? If that is the case, then you are too incompetent as a palace lord. I feel that for the future of the Jiangyun Palace, the position of palace lord should be changed. Xiao Chua did not say too much nonsense. He stood up and left angrily. Master! Master Xiao! Qiu Yuelu hurriedly shouted twice, but he could not stop Xiao Chua. He sat on the chair like a fool. Although Xiao Chua's words were not very clear, Qiu Yuelu understood the meaning behind it. Normally, if there was an immortal sect that offended the Immortal Court, then the ending would be extremely miserable. The Immortal Court would not punish a certain immortal sect openly, but they would secretly do something. Especially if a sect master like Qiu Yuelu offended the Immortal Court, then this sect master would either suddenly disappear without a trace, or be punished for some inexplicable reasons, which would cause his reputation to be ruined, and he would not even be able to keep his position as a sect master. Although there was no evidence to prove that the ending of these immortal sects was caused by the Immortal Court, Qiu Yuelu had also heard some rumors, and his heart was filled with lingering fear. The reason why the Immortal Court did this was to frighten these immortal sections. The rules of the Immortal Court, to ensure its dignity, to ensure that the sanctity of the laws of the Immortal Court would not be violated, the Immortal Court naturally had to set an example. But who could tell what was happening in the dark? Especially when he heard from Xiao Chua that it was the people from the Jiangyun Palace that attracted Xiao Chua, he was shocked and angry. How could he have thought that there was actually someone from the Jiangyun Palace who wanted to harm him? His eyes swayed, thinking about it. He was afraid that only the people from the inner cabinet could contact the Immortal Court's minister and explain this matter. If not, how could an ordinary disciple have the ability to do so? They did not even have the guts to do so. Thinking about this, Qiu Yuelu was naturally angry and resentful. This matter made him involuntarily think about the matter of Jiangyun liquid. Naturally, Qiu Yuelu's heart had a knot in his heart. When Su Yun heard Su Liulua's report, he already understood that the matter of the Jiangyun Palace was almost over. Now he only needed to wait for an opportunity to intervene. As expected, a few days later, there was a huge uproar in the Jiangyun Palace. The palace lord of the Jiangyun Palace, Qiu Yuelu, actually led over 20 elite disciples and requested to forcefully disband the inner cabinet. His actions immediately caused the dissatisfaction of the inner cabinet. The existence of the inner cabinet was established by the Jiangyun Palace's ancestral master. The purpose was to restrict the palace lord, to prevent the palace lord from acting willfully, restraining each other, and guiding the Jiangyun Palace towards glory. But Qiu Yuelu felt even more threatened. He thought that Xiao Chua's arrival was completely the doing of the inner cabinet. The goal was to borrow the hands of the Immortal Court to get rid of him. So, how could Qiu Yuelu just sit and wait for death? And the battle between the inner cabinet and Qiu Yuelu continued to escalate, constantly evolving. In the end, it was actually to the point where arrows were drawn. The Jiangyun Palace also divided itself into two groups. One group followed Qiu Yuelu, the other group followed the inner cabinet. The development of the Jiangyun Palace was also seriously hindered. The disciples of the sect were extremely worried. At this moment, Su Yun finally could not sit still. He immediately sent an order to Wei Ming, asking him to lead a group of great Ling Long Palace elites directly towards the Jiangyun Palace. And he himself led the elites of the Immortal Seeking sect towards the Jiangyun Palace. Wei Ming walked quickly. He was also deliberately asked by Su Yun to hide his identity. He must not expose even a little bit, otherwise, everything would be for naught. At this time, the peach was already ripe. If he did not pick it now, when would he wait? Qiu Yuelu did not know. Two sharp claws were quietly reaching towards the Jiangyun Palace. Chapter 13-17. Inside the River Cloud Palace. Outside the main hall, Qiu Yuelu led a group of disciples and stood outside, shouting angrily. The cabinet is an unreasonable existence. In the entire immortal world, which sect has set up a cabinet? Restraining the sect master? If the cabinet and the sect master don't agree, it will only drag the sect down. This way, the sect won't be able to develop better. So, the cabinet must be removed. Otherwise, the River Cloud Palace will decline day by day until it is destroyed. At this moment, there was a row of white-robed elders standing in the hall. Most of them looked old and senile, with a sage-like demeanor. The leading elder held a brown oak staff in his hand. He struck the ground with the staff and shouted with a solemn expression, "Sect leader venerable! You must understand, the cabinet is an organization passed down by the ancestors. It cannot be removed easily. Moreover, the cabinet does not have the power to interfere with the sect master's decision. As the existence of the cabinet, we will only give the sect master suggestions. Please do not misunderstand our existence." Misunderstand? Qiu Yuelu snorted. "Let me ask you." The Immortal Lyceum's Resource Department head Xiao Ling suddenly came to visit. "Who invited you?" Immortal Lyceum's Resource Department head? The elders from the cabinet looked at each other in confusion. "Sect Master Honor, what are you talking about? We don't understand what you mean. Are you still going to pretend now?" Qiu Yuelu was completely driven mad by these old fellows from the cabinet. He didn't care about the disciples around him and shouted, "Don't think I don't know that the Resource Department head's request to raise our Jiang Cloud Palace's monthly tribute by 50% was proposed by you. The Jiang Cloud Palace is already at the end of its road, and its resources are decreasing day by day. The entire sect is already cutting back on food and clothing. Yet, you sent the people from the Immortal Court to pressure me at this time. It is obvious that you want to force me to abdicate and force me to step down from my position. Don't think I don't know that you are dissatisfied with me because I used the River Cloud liquid without permission, am I right?" Qiu Yuelu had completely shed all pretense of cordiality. These people knew that Qiu Yuelu had always been restrained by the people from the cabinet. He had a deep grudge against the cabinet. Now that he felt that his life was in danger, how could he continue to tolerate the people from the cabinet? As the sect master, why can't he use his own sect's things? Why do you have to let others order you around? Was he still the sect leader? Who has the final say in this Jiang Cloud Palace? At this moment, someone in the crowd shouted. Although this statement was very abrupt, it was the truth. Many members of the Jiang Cloud Palace agreed. "Yes. You're right. Yeah. Why should our sect leader be bullied like this? When I first entered the Jiangyun Palace, I was also very curious. There's already a sect master, so why is there still an organization like the Inner Cabinet? Is it really necessary? The cabinet must be abolished." The cheers grew louder and louder. "You're being stubborn." At this moment, a group of disciples rushed in from the side door. Qiu Yuelu saw that these disciples were the ones who protected the Inner Cabinet. These disciples ran over and knelt uniformly in front of Qiu Yuelu. The leading disciple said sincerely, "Sect Master, the elders in the Inner Cabinet are all seniors who have followed Sect Master for many generations. Let's not talk about whether they have done anything wrong. Just talking about all these years, they have poured their blood, sweat, and tears for our Jiangyun Palace. Even if they don't have any meritorious deeds, they have worked hard for our Jiangyun Palace. Sect Master, although this disciple doesn't have the right to ask about the matters between you and the elders in the Inner Cabinet, this has already affected our entire Jiangyun Palace. We can't be indifferent anymore. The existence of the Inner Cabinet is inevitable. It's like a warning sign, constantly reminding Sect Master not to make any mistakes, isn't it? Sect Master, please don't abolish the Inner Cabinet. Let's work together and build the Jiangyun Palace. Sect Master, please don't abolish the Inner Cabinet and build the Jiangyun Palace. The disciples were shouting. However, when the sincere words of this disciple fell into Chioyuelo's ears, it was so ear-piercing. You guys! Chioyuelu was so angry that his face turned red. He gritted his teeth and roared, "What warning sign? It's obviously a shackle. Don't you guys talk nonsense here. Get lost." Sect Master! You guys still treat me as the Sect Master? I'm still the Sect Master of the Jiangyun Palace? Chioyuelu was so angry that he was about to explode. His voice was getting more and more irritable. I'm the dignified Sect Master of the Jiangyun Palace. Even a decision I made is being opposed by so many people. Am I still fit to be the Sect Master? Today, I won't abolish the inner cabinet. I swear I won't give up. After saying that, Chioyuelu actually raised both of his hands and shouted, "All disciples of the Jiangyun Palace, stop! These fellows in front of me are already so thick-headed. You guys don't have to worry. Now, tear down the inner cabinet conference hall. Who dares to stop me? Kill without mercy!" Yes! All the disciples shouted in unison and took out their treasures. A large amount of immortal energy surged in front of the hall. When those disciples who opposed Chioyuelu saw this, they hurriedly blocked the front of the hall. Rebel! Rebel! These bastards, they don't even put me, the Sect Master, in their eyes. Chioyuelu's anger soared to the sky as he roared, "Kill! Kill! Kill! Kill for me!" The furious roar seemed to spread throughout the entire Jiangyun Palace. Those disciples trembled. At this moment, they completely did not know what to do. Should they fight? Or should they not fight? At this critical moment, a shout came from the main hall. "Stop!" When this voice fell, everyone simultaneously looked towards the source of the voice. Because this voice was the voice of the first seat of the inner cabinet. Everyone held their breaths and focused, not daring to breathe loudly. At this moment, no one made any noise. Even Chioyuelu was forcefully suppressing his anger as he stared in that direction. The old man holding the oak staff slowly closed his eyes. His chapped lips moved, and a hoarse voice came out, "Stop fighting! All of you are the pillars of the Jiangyun Palace, the cornerstones of the Jiangyun Palace. If there is internal strife here, the Jiangyun Palace will definitely walk towards destruction." At this point, he slowly opened his eyes, but his voice was even weaker than before. "Then the inner cabinet shall be removed." When this voice fell, the first seat of the inner cabinet seemed to have aged 100 years. When this voice fell, the entire audience was in an uproar. Pairs of eyes looked at the first seat of the inner cabinet in disbelief. No one could believe their ears. The inner cabinet was the highest organization set up by the Jiangyun Palace since it was founded. Although the inner cabinet did affect the decisions of the Sect Master, all these years, without the assistance of the inner cabinet and the correction of the Sect Master's wrong decisions, the Jiangyun Palace would never have developed to this scale. "This is what you said." Chioyuelu seemed to have been waiting for this moment. After a short 3 breaths of shock, he laughed wildly. "You finally admit that the inner cabinet shouldn't be. If that's the case, then please leave quickly, lest weapons meet each other." Elders! Those disciples who supported the inner cabinet rushed over and cried. However, these people from the inner cabinet sighed repeatedly and shook their heads. In the end, they all turned around as if they were going to leave. "Elders! If you leave, we. All of you stay here." Without waiting for those disciples to say anything, the first seat of the inner cabinet immediately held the oak staff and shouted. These disciples were startled and didn't speak anymore. The first seat of the inner cabinet glanced at everyone present and his gaze finally landed on Chioyuelu. He spoke indifferently, "Sect Master, in fact, Chiohong's injuries don't necessarily need to be treated with the Jiangyun liquid. We already have other treatment methods, but you didn't discuss it with us, which is why it's like this. Although sometimes you do things in a radical manner, most of the time you are very wise. I hope that in the days to come, the Jiangyun Palace will gradually flourish under your leadership. After finishing, these inner cabinet elders all leaped up and flew out of the Jiangyun Palace. Elders! The disciples cried out. But it was useless. These people from the inner cabinet had already made up their minds. From today onwards, the Jiangyun Palace would no longer have the inner cabinet as an organization. The disciples all looked at the direction where the inner cabinet left and didn't leave for a long time. Qiueluo's expression changed drastically. He looked to his left and right and realized that not only those disciples from before, but even those disciples who supported him also revealed expressions of reluctance and guilt. What are you all doing? What are you all doing? Qiuelu was enraged and roared in agitation. Am I the sect master, or are they? Why are all of you looking at them? All of you, get lost. Go do what you are supposed to do. Qiueluo's rage frightened many disciples. They all stared at Qiuelu with wide eyes, but no one dared to refute. They could only nod in agreement and gradually left. At this moment, many of them actually had the thought of leaving the Jiangyun Palace. Crash! Right at this moment, several intense explosions suddenly came from the entrance of the Jiangyun Palace. Following that, a large number of figures rushed in from the entrance. These disciples were astonished. They all looked towards the source of the sound and saw a masked existence suddenly appearing in the sky above the grand hall. Not long after, countless immortals appeared behind him. When Qiuelu saw this, he immediately shouted, "Who are you people?" "Hee, Sect Master Qiu, your Jiangyun Palace seems to be very lively today. I wonder what's the matter to be happy about? Let us join in the liveliness," the masked person who had altered his aura said with a smile. Qiueluo's expression changed slightly. "What are you talking about? Who are you people?" "Hee, it doesn't matter who we are. What's important is that today, I'm here to retrieve the profound feather fan. If Sect Master Qiu is sensible, you better hand it over obediently. Otherwise, when the fight starts later, the Jiangyun Palace will turn into a river of blood. Sect Master Qiu's life will be in danger." That person mocked. Chapter 13-18. Flowing Feather Mystic Supreme Fan? Qiuelu gritted his teeth and snorted. "Another group of thieves who are eyeing our Jiang Cloud Palace's treasure? Unfortunately, you think too much. Do you think you can seize the Flowing Feather Mystic Supreme Fan? Can't seize it? Want to try?" That person laughed, but his voice was extremely cold and full of killing intent. Don't you know where you are? This is the Jiang Cloud Palace. How dare you come here and behave atrociously? Today, I will not let you leave." Qiuelu shouted. "Where are the disciples?" "The disciples are," scattered voices could be heard. Qiuelu was shocked and looked over, only to see that most of the disciples were powerless. He was stunned for a moment and quickly understood what was going on. It seemed that these disciples had yet to walk out from the shadow of what happened. "What are you all still standing there for?" Qiuelu was enraged and shouted. "This is a moment of life and death for the Jiang Cloud Palace. Why are you all acting like this? Attack! Or else I will punish you severely." "Sect Master, issue an emergency order. Everyone must fight against the enemy together, no disobedience. Hurry!" Qiuelu roared. Some of the disciples quickly took action, but there were also some disciples who hesitated for a moment before taking action. However, there was a small group of people who did not take any measures. On the contrary, they took off the token on their waist and placed it on the ground, saying, "Sect Master, from today onwards, we are no longer disciples of the Jiang Cloud Palace. We are leaving this place." After saying that, he walked out of the room. These disciples did not want to be Qiueluo's tool, and they could not tolerate Qiueluo's stubbornness. These people were too extreme, to the point that they would do whatever they wanted. Although it was only a small group of people, Chiou could no longer tolerate it. He leaped and rushed over, blocking in front of those disciples and questioned, "What are you all doing? We no longer wish to stay in the Jiang Cloud Palace. Please let us go, sect master." That disciple said seriously. Unexpectedly, these words immediately angered Chiou. He was so angry that he directly raised his palm and slapped the disciple's head. Smack! That disciple didn't expect that his sect leader would actually use such a cruel method. He was caught off guard and was directly struck on the head. His skull directly shattered and he fell to the ground dead, his soul seeping out. The surrounding disciples gasped when they saw this. The survival of the sect is at stake. Anyone who leaves at this time will be a traitor to the sect. Kill without mercy! Chiou roared. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. Ha 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 ha, interesting. Interesting. Who would have thought that the renowned palace lord of the Jiang Cloud Palace, Chiou, would be such a narrow-minded person? No wonder your sect's people are dissatisfied with you. Hee hee, but this is exactly what I wanted. After that person finished speaking, he didn't waste any more words with Chiou and directly charged over to fight him. Banish the thieves! Chiou shouted loudly and naturally went forward to meet the attack. At the same time, the immortals behind the masked man swarmed forward and leaped backward. Seize the mystic flowing feather fan! The masked man shouted. Yes! Stop them! Don't let them enter my training grounds! Chiou roared at the disciples. Given the current situation, what else was there to consider? Even if they were extremely dissatisfied with the sect master's actions, they had been in the Jiang Cloud Palace for so many years and had feelings for the Jiang Cloud Palace. The mystic flowing feather fan was the Jiang Cloud Palace's cornerstone treasure. How could they just give it to others? Immediately, the disciples pounced at the immortals and stopped them in mid-air. The two sides immediately engaged in a fierce battle. However, the ambushers were extremely powerful. Just as the disciples rushed over, they were enveloped by a golden halo. Everyone's movements seemed to be covered in frost and slowed down. It seemed like they didn't intend to directly wipe out the disciples, but only to restrain them. The entire Jiang Cloud Palace was immediately ignited. There weren't many people who ambushed the Jiang Cloud Palace, but each and every one of them was extremely capable. They had countless treasures and were not stingy in using them. These disciples didn't have strong willpower. After experiencing the removal of the inner cabinet, many of them were not in their best condition. How could they possibly be a match for these people? What's more, the previous incident caused the Jiang Cloud Palace to be in chaos, giving these people an opportunity to take advantage of. As a result, the outer defenses of the sect didn't even have time to be activated before they were breached by these people. If it was in the past, it would be almost impossible to infiltrate the Jiang Cloud Palace with just these few people. However, the timing, location, and manpower were all in favor of these invaders. As a result, the Jiang Cloud Palace's situation immediately entered an extremely dangerous state. Soon enough, the Jiang Cloud Palace's defensive line was smashed into pieces. The bandits immediately rushed towards Chiou's cultivation area. When Chiou saw this, he instantly panicked. He quickly activated the barrier around the cultivation area to stop these people from approaching. However, just as he activated the barrier, the masked man seized the opportunity and slammed his palm onto Chiou's chest. Chiou was immediately struck to the ground and vomited blood. The Jiang Cloud Palace's situation was extremely disadvantageous. After the inner cabinet elders left the Jiang Cloud Palace, they slowly flew towards the outside. Although these elders requested the disciples not to follow them, there was still a group of disciples that secretly followed them. "What are you guys doing here?" These elders did not turn back. The inner cabinet chief with the oak staff shouted. These disciples were stunned. They then ran in front of them and knelt down. Elders! What are you guys doing? The inner cabinet chief frowned and said, Quickly get up! If there's anything, get up and say it. However, these disciples did not get up. One of the disciples hurriedly said, Elders, we want to follow the elders and cultivate with the elders. Can't we stay in the Jiang Cloud Palace? Although the sect master is strong, he is not a teacher worth learning from. We joined the Jiang Cloud Palace to seek the path of immortality, cultivate the longevity secret realm, obtain supreme strength, and better establish ourselves in the world. However, Sect Master Chio's conduct is not a role model for us. But the elders are different. All these years, without the elders' full support, how could the Jiang Cloud Palace have today's prosperity? Therefore, we want to follow the elders. Even if it's just to serve the elders, we are willing. These disciples cried out sincerely. The inner cabinet members were silent. But, before they could make a decision, there was a slight sound of air breaking in the distance. These people immediately looked in that direction. They saw a person wearing a gray robe, holding a flag in his hand, flying over. Someone from the Immortal Seeking sect? The inner cabinet chief said in a deep voice. What is their person doing here? Elders, you guys step back first. I will ask about the situation. The inner cabinet chief said indifferently. Yes. These disciples were embarrassed to continue kneeling, lest they become a joke. They saw this person from the Immortal Seeking sect flying over quickly. When he saw a group of people standing here, he immediately rushed over. Are you immortal friends from the Jiang Cloud Palace? The person flew over, bowed to the crowd, and said. Seeing this person, everyone's vigilance was reduced a bit. Who are you? The inner cabinet chief asked. I am a disciple of the Immortal Seeking sect. The person bowed to the inner cabinet chief and said with a smile, I am here on the order of my sect master to inform the immortal friends of the Jiang Cloud Palace. Inform? What message? Does your sect have any instructions for us? The inner cabinet chief frowned. No. The Immortal Seeking sect is the Immortal Seeking sect, and the Jiang Cloud Palace is the Jiang Cloud Palace. They are two different sections. Who is instructing who? The person hurriedly waved his hand and said, I am here this time to tell you that my sect master is rushing to the Jiang Cloud Palace with a large number of gifts. Gifts? The inner cabinet chief was slightly stunned. Yes, gift. As the saying goes, courtesy demands reciprocity. Previously, the Jiang Cloud Palace has paid so many tributes to our Immortal Seeking sect. How can we accept them for nothing? This time, our sect master personally came here in the hope of forming an alliance with the Jiang Cloud Palace and developing together. As such, he specially ordered me to come here to inform you, lest you feel that I was too abrupt. If so, it would be rude. Gifts. The inner cabinet chief didn't seem to believe it. He said faintly, I heard that your sect master asked the Jiang Cloud Palace to attach itself to your Immortal Seeking sect. Now that the Immortal Seeking sect is powerful, my Jiang Cloud Palace is far from your opponent. Normally, your Immortal Seeking sect would only suppress and exploit my Jiang Cloud Palace. Why do you want to form an alliance? Fellow Immortal, it's obvious that you have a different opinion of my Immortal Seeking sect. But that's normal. After all, my Immortal Seeking sect did threaten Jiangyun Palace before. But has my Immortal Seeking sect done anything wrong to Jiangyun Palace? Exploited the Jiang Cloud Palace? Or suppressed the Jiang Cloud Palace? None of that. Even if it's the so-called tribute, it can't be considered as extortion, because our sect master has already brought the tribute to return the favor, right? You may not know this, but everything my sect master did before was to test the Jiang Cloud Palace. Test. Yes, test. After all, sect master Chio first led his disciples to invade my Immortal Seeking sect. As such, my sect master was alerted and tested. But after so many days, my sect master also felt that he was too rash. So, he decided to form an alliance with the Jiang Cloud Palace. That disciple said with a smile. Really? The inner cabinet chief was still in disbelief. If anyone from the Jiang Cloud Palace doubts my sincerity, I believe that time will prove everything. At this moment, a voice came from afar. Everyone looked over and saw a long thin line on the horizon. A group of people was leaping over. These people were Su Yun and the others. Chapter 13:19. The cabinet chief was not a fool. After Su Yun appeared, the atmosphere here was obviously controlled by the other party. From this, it could be seen that the strength of this person must be at the peak. He was probably the sect leader of the Immortal Seeking sect. You really came. The cabinet chief looked a little surprised. Su Yun walked forward and respectfully bowed to the cabinet members and said with a smile, Su Yun greets all the seniors. These cabinet people were all surprised to see this. Although they had never heard of Su Yun before, but just based on the scene of Su Yun leading more than 500,000 immortals, and the fact that even the great Linglong Palace's palace master Wei Ming was filled with admiration towards him, it was enough to prove his personal strength. They were far from being able to compare to such a person, but this person was actually so humble and polite, it truly surprised them. Sect leader Su is too polite. We don't dare to call ourselves seniors. The cabinet chief quickly returned the greeting. Although you have not stated your identity, this junior can already guess a thing or two. In Jiang Yun Palace, to have such a temperament and aura, you must be the elders of the inner pavilion. Although the elders stay in Jiang Yun Palace all year round, this junior is still familiar with the names of the seniors. Today, I am fortunate to be able to meet you. This junior is naturally blessed. As Su Yun spoke, he bowed again, abnormally respectful and sincere. The cabinet elders all felt overwhelmed by the favor. The cabinet chief nodded repeatedly and smiled. No wonder the Immortal Seeking sect, which has always been unknown, has such strength now. With a benevolent and broad-minded sect master like you leading, it's only a matter of time before the Immortal Seeking sect becomes a big sect. Senior, you flatter me. Su Yun smiled, then looked at everyone and said puzzledly, Don't the seniors of the cabinet live in the cabinet all year round and rarely move around? Where are we going? This. The cabinet chief hesitated and finally sighed but shook his head. I was just ordered to go out and do something. Do something? Why not let these juniors do it? This. The cabinet chief did not know how to respond, and the disciples standing behind them were already ready to make a move. One by one, they looked at Su Yun as if they wanted to rush out and tell Su Yun the truth. Although it was the first time for some of them to meet Su Yun, the humble and kind sect leader of Wenxian's sect had left a good impression in their hearts. Elder! Right at this moment, a loud shout suddenly sounded out from behind him. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice and saw a disciple of the Jiang Cloud Palace staggering as he flew over. His clothes were tattered and full of scars. He looked to be in an extremely sorry state. He was crying and shouting as he flew over. Elder! Elder! Not good! Not good! The Jiang Cloud Palace is in chaos. What? Those inner pavilion elders and Jiang Cloud Palace disciples rushed over. The inner pavilion chief supported that disciple and asked anxiously, What exactly is going on? What happened? Elder, Jiang Cloud Palace is in chaos. I don't know which rascal has suddenly launched a sneak attack on my Jiang Cloud Palace. Because all the elders were expelled by the sect master, the disciples are all dissatisfied with the sect master. Now that the scoundrel has taken advantage of the situation and entered, my Jiang Cloud Palace is not a match for them at all. Elders, please return quickly and take charge of the situation. Defeat the thieves. What? The cabinet elders were all shocked. What did you say? Jiang Cloud Palace has been sneak attacked? And all the elders were expelled by sect master Chiu? Su Yun pulled that disciple over and questioned, "What exactly is going on? Hurry up and tell me clearly." You are?" That disciple was obviously frightened. "This is the sect master of the immortal seeking sect, Su Yun." The chief of the inner pavilion said, "Sect leader Su, I'll tell you about some things about the Jiang Cloud Palace in the future. Now that the Jiang Cloud Palace is facing such a great calamity, I can't just sit back and do nothing even though I've been expelled by the Jiang Cloud Palace. Sect leader Su, I think it's better for you to go back first. Don't get involved in this. If the immortal friends of the immortal seeking sect are injured or in trouble, I'll feel really bad. I'll let these disciples convey the goodwill of your sect to sect leader Chiu. Rest assured." After that, the inner pavilion chief cupped his fists and turned to leave. "Elders, what are you saying? Are you going to exclude me, Su Yun, from this? We are all from the immortal world and are immortal friends. Now that the Jiang Cloud Palace is in trouble, how can the immortal seeking sect sit idly by?" Su Yun shouted, then turned to the disciple and said, "Quickly bring us to the Jiang Cloud Palace, save sect master Chiu, and expel all the thieves. With the help of the experts of the immortal seeking sect, the Jiang Cloud Palace's crisis will definitely be resolved smoothly." Those disciples were overjoyed. However, the inner pavilion elders did not show any joy. Although Su Yun was here to give gifts, no one knew his true thoughts. One must know that if the immortal seeking sect went to expel the thieves, and the thieves were expelled, what about them? What would they do? If the immortal seeking sect took the opportunity to take down Chiu, then the Jiang Cloud Palace would be in even greater danger. As members of the inner pavilion, these people naturally had to consider more things than ordinary disciples, and they were also more cautious. At this time, an elder cupped his fists and could not help but say, "Sect Master Su, I am very grateful for your concern for the Jiang Cloud Palace, but the current situation is too complicated. Senior, do you think that I will harm the Jiang Cloud Palace?" Without waiting for the elder to finish, Su Yun directly cut him off. His expression became very serious, and he said in a deep voice, "This, Junior can understand, but, seniors, please rest assured, I am not the kind of person to kick someone when they are down. Now that Sect Master Chiu is in deep danger, and the Jiang Cloud Palace is in deep trouble, if we are still suspicious of each other, then the Jiang Cloud Palace will be in greater danger, and in the end, I am afraid it will be irreversible." This, everyone looked at each other, not knowing how to answer. "All right, since Sect Master Su has said so, if we are still dawdling here, we will be letting down Sect Master Su's sincerity." At this time, the inner pavilion elder spoke. He then saw him nodding at Su Yun and said, "How many people did Sect Master Su bring this time?" "About 300. So few." The inner pavilion elder looked behind Su Yun, and realized that these people were mostly here to deliver gift. "I am not here to fight, so naturally, I did not bring many people. However, although I only have 300 people, these people are the elite disciples of my immortal seeking sect. Even if we cannot successfully repel the enemy, at least we can bear some of the pressure for the Jiang Cloud Palace. That's good. Since that is the case, we shall not dawdle, let us depart now." The situation was urgent. These inner pavilion elders did not dare to delay anything, and immediately followed Su Yun and the others, rushing towards the Jiang Cloud Palace. At this moment, the Jiang Cloud Palace was already in chaos. There were tens of thousands of people attacking the Jiang Cloud Palace. Although they were far from being a match for the Jiang Cloud Palace in terms of numbers, the people of the Jiang Cloud Palace were not stable, and the enemy took advantage of the situation to enter. Many enchantments within the sect did not have time to be activated, and were taken advantage of by the enemy. Chiu was surrounded, causing the situation of the Jiang Cloud Palace to immediately fall into an extremely disadvantageous position. Chiu was struck by the masked expert several times, and gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. Although the masked man in front of him was not much stronger than him, there were people all around him, and this guy had many treasures. Chioyuelu was actually beaten to the point where he could not retaliate, and was continuously being defeated. As for Chioyuelu's cultivation area, it was currently being bombarded by these immortals in disguise. The enchantment protecting the cultivation area was like a small boat being ravaged by a violent storm, shaking incessantly, and could break at any time. Chioyuelu was restrained by the current state of the enchantment, and he was already distracted. He knew that if he continued to fight with this masked man, it would be of no use. He could not defeat them, and since these people's goal was the profound feather fan, he must not let them succeed. Chioyuelu's thoughts spun rapidly. He gritted his teeth, turned around abruptly, and rushed into the cultivation area. The people attacking the cultivation area did not have time to react, and were dispersed by a palm strike. Chioyuelu took the opportunity to remove the enchantment and barged in. From the looks of it, he must be going to retrieve the profound feather fan. Palace Lord, what should we do now? Should we continue to attack? An immortal in disguise flew to the side of the masked man, and asked in a low voice. No need. The masked man said in a low voice, Our purpose here is to slightly harass the Jiang Cloud Palace, to create an opportunity for the Lord. There is no need to fight the people of the Jiang Cloud Palace. The profound feather fan is very powerful, we need to leave quickly. Yes, Palace Lord. At this time, another person rushed over. What's wrong? The masked man asked. The Lord and the others are already here, we need to leave immediately. That's exactly what I was thinking. Pass down the order immediately, everyone take out their treasures and prepare to retreat. Understood. Soon, the so-called thieves' attacks began to weaken, and each of them became timid. Seeing this, the people of the Jiang Cloud Palace thought that these people were tired of fighting. Unexpectedly, at this time, something strange happened again. They saw a person scurrying out of Chioyuelu's cultivation area. Looking closely, this person was Chioyuelu. Was he going to use the profound feather fan? The masked man began to be cautious. The profound feather fan's reputation had spread far and wide. Such a treasure was not an ordinary immortal artifact, and no one knew how terrifying its power was. Unexpectedly, Chioyuelu, who rushed out of the cultivation area, did not immediately use the profound feather fan. After looking at the masked man, he shouted, Delay them! As soon as he finished speaking, he actually turned around and fled in the opposite direction. He ran? The masked man was shocked. Who would have thought that the dignified Jiang Cloud Palace Lord, Chioyuelu, would abandon his disciples and flee alone? Chapter 1320. Seeing Chioyuelu escape, no one expected it. As the leader of a sect, how could he escape at this time? The masked man did not expect that Chioyuelu still had the strength to fight. Why did he escape? Moreover, he had already taken out the flowing feather mystic sovereign fan, why did he not fight? This was simply too unimaginable. Master, what should we do? The person beside him asked again. The masked man quickly thought for a moment, then said, Retreat. Yes. Wait. Send 2 experts. Keep an eye on him, see where he is going. Yes. With that, everyone prepared to retreat. At this time, a large number of figures came from outside the Jiang Cloud Palace. At a glance, it was Su Yun and the Jiang Cloud Palace disciples led by the inner pavilion. When these disciples who were still fighting with the bandits saw the arrival of reinforcements, their morale was greatly boosted, and they were extremely excited. However, when someone recognized the sect leader of the Immortal Seeking sect, one by one, astonished voices came out. But it was no longer important now. In the midst of a battle, how could they have the time to care about other things? Once the inner pavilion elder entered the Jiang Cloud Palace, he immediately gathered all the disciples. With a wave of his arm, everyone responded immediately. Hence, in such a short period of time, the inner pavilion elder gathered close to 10,000 disciples and rushed towards the bandits. At the same time, the Jiang Cloud Palace disciples who were fighting with the bandits also cooperated and attacked the bandits from both inside and outside. The elders of the inner pavilion were all existences of the older generation who had experienced many generations of sect masters. If not for this, the inner pavilion would not have such authority, nor would they be supported by the disciples. Needless to say, the elders of the inner pavilion were all experts. The arrival of these people was much stronger than Qiu Yuelu. If the masked man continued to fight with them, not only would he be stopped by these people, his identity would also be exposed. That's right, these people who suddenly attacked the Jiang Cloud Palace were the forces under Su Yun, the Linglong Palace. Being attacked from both front and back, Wei Ming and the others immediately gathered together. The situation was already not in their favor, and if they continued to fight, it would only become more disadvantageous for them. They had to retreat immediately. They secretly activated their magic treasures, and everyone's speed and reaction speed increased several times. In order to plan this operation, Su Yun had specially brought over a few treasures that he had kept for many years from Kai Tian, and gave them all to Wei Ming to use. Furthermore, the immortal equipment scrolls that Wei Ming's team used were also the best. Now that Qin Qianlong's hidden dragon hall had entered the true devil realm, the strongest team in Su Yun's hands was only the big Linglong Palace, so this mission was naturally up to them. And Wei Ming did not disappoint Su Yun. When the plan started to be implemented, Su Yun was watching every move of the Jiangyun Palace. The removal of the inner cabinet, the departure of the elders, and the meeting with Su Yun were all part of his plan. Now that everything was going as smoothly as expected, he believed that the result would not be too far off. Su Yun did not dare to waste any more time, and immediately led the elites of the Immortal Seeking Sect and rushed towards Wei Ming and the rest. "Palace Master, we're surrounded by enemies. We can't get out." The Big Linglong Palace was anxious. There were people from the Big Linglong Palace in front and behind them, and they had also activated the enchantment formation. The situation was becoming more and more disadvantageous. This was originally the territory of the Jiangyun Palace, and the strong dragon could not suppress the local snake. The reason why Wei Ming had the advantage previously was because of the internal strife of the Jiangyun Palace and his surprise attack. Now that the Jiangyun Palace had recovered, they were naturally not a match for the people here. However, Su Yun had already thought of all kinds of countermeasures for sudden situations. He looked towards Wei Ming, and Wei Ming was also looking at him. The two of them looked at each other and continued to act according to the plan. Su Yun and Wei Ming started to fight, and when the disciples saw that the palace master and the master had already started to fight, they immediately understood. According to the original plan, Su Yun would use the people he brought to leave a path of retreat for Wei Ming, and Wei Ming only needed to attack Su Yun fiercely. The disciples were also very cooperative. They sent a group of people to fight with the inner cabinet elders, and then immediately retreated. Luckily, these people were the elites of the Big Linglong Palace. If it were any ordinary disciple, they would have been killed by the elders in a single move. The disciples immediately shifted their focus, and naturally rushed towards Su Yun. While Su Yun was fighting with Wei Ming, he pretended that he was no match for Wei Ming, and was forced to the edge by Wei Ming. Wei Ming took the chance and immediately smashed a hole in the crowd. Seeing that, all the people from the Big Linglong Palace immediately activated their treasures and rushed towards Wei Ming. At this time they did not know why, but their speed was extremely fast. One by one, they shot out of the crowd like shooting stars, and rushed out of the Jiangyun Palace. The people from the Jiangyun Palace immediately chased after them, but their speed could not keep up. In the blink of an eye, these people had already disappeared without a trace. Damn it! Their speed is too fast. How can this be? What treasures did they use? Follow their chi and chase after them, the disciples said angrily. However, the inner cabinet elder raised his hand and said indifferently, "No need. Let them go. It is more important to take care of the sect leader first." With that, he looked around, but did not find any traces of Chiu Yuelu. "Where's the sect leader?" the inner cabinet elder asked. However, when this question was asked, the surrounding disciples all had different expressions. They looked at each other, but no one answered. Seeing that, the inner cabinet elder frowned and said, "What's wrong? Are you all mute? What's going on? Where is the sect leader? Speak quickly." Facing the inner cabinet elder's questioning, there was finally a disciple who could not hold it in any longer. He gathered his courage, and stood out and said, "Reporting to Elder, the sect leader, he brought the flowing feather profound venerable fan and temporarily left the sect to seek refuge." Seek refuge? The inner cabinet elder was stunned. Seeking refuge at this critical juncture? That was obviously escaping. All the disciples of the sect were here, and as the sect leader, he actually escaped alone. How could he do such a thing? Preposterous! The inner cabinet elder shouted angrily, but did not say anything else. He just sighed. Hearing that, Su Yun was also extremely shocked. His original plan was to let Wei Ming lead the Great Ling Long Palace to attack Jiangyun Palace, to create an opportunity for him, and then help Wei Ming and the rest to leave. Of course, when they left, they had to leave one person behind. Su Yun would seize the opportunity to capture that person, then explain to the Jiangyun Palace that he knew some illusory techniques, then use the illusory techniques to force the other party to reveal the mastermind behind the scenes. Then, he would frame Chiu Yuelu, causing his prestige in Jiangyun Palace to drop. Then, Su Yun would be benevolent and righteous, disintegrate Jiangyun Palace from the inside, and he would plunder the outstanding disciples from Jiangyun Palace. As such, Jiangyun Palace would definitely be devoured by him, until it perished. But he never thought that Chiu Yuelu would actually escape just like that. No wonder Wei Ming did not leave any captives behind. Su Yun thought to himself. He paused, and seeing the awkward atmosphere, he said, "Maybe sect leader Chiu wanted to protect the flowing feather profound venerable fan. That's why he did it. Maybe everyone here does not know sect leader Chiu's painstaking efforts." The head of the cabinet had an awkward look on his face. He laughed and said, "This time, it was all thanks to the help from your sect that my Jiangyun Palace was able to avoid this calamity. This old man thanks everyone here." The head of the cabinet said, "Don't mention it." Immortal Seeking Sect and Jiangyun Palace are both immortal sects in the immortal world. We are originally one family. What's there to thank? Furthermore, if Immortal Seeking Sect is in trouble in the future, we might need to rely on your sect's help. Su Yun cupped his fists and said, "Sect leader Su, what are you saying? If Immortal Seeking Sect is in trouble, Jiangyun Palace will definitely step forward without hesitation." "That's great." Su Yun laughed. "A country cannot be without a ruler for a day. The sect cannot be without the sect leader. Right now, it's more important to find sect leader Chiu." "That's right." The head of the cabinet cupped his fists again and said, "Sect leader Su, if you don't mind my sect's shabby condition, please stay here for a few days. Sect leader is not here. This old man has to personally handle the matters here. Please forgive me for not being able to accompany you." "Senior, what are you saying? If you have matters to attend to, just do it. Right now, Jiangyun Palace is at peace. I will not stay for long. I will take my leave now." With that, Su Yun turned and left in a hurry. The head of the cabinet immediately brought his disciples to send him off. Very quickly, Su Yun left Jiangyun Palace. However, he was not in a hurry to return to Immortal Seeking Sect. Instead, he headed towards a thick cloud not far from Jiangyun Palace. Wei Ming had already sent people to receive him. The two groups of people met in the thick cloud. "Greetings, Master." Wei Ming saw Su Yun and immediately bowed. "Wei Ming, what's going on? Why did Qiu Yuelu run away?" "Reporting to Master, this subordinate does not know why Qiu Yuelu did that. But rest assured, this subordinate has already sent spies to follow Qiu Yuelu. His position has not been lost. If we chase after him now, we will definitely be able to catch up to Qiu Yuelu," Wei Ming said. "Which direction did he run in?" "It seems to be the direction of the Immortal Lyceum." Wei Ming thought for a moment and said, "Immortal Lyceum?" Su Yun was startled. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He immediately turned and chased after the Immortal Lyceum. "Master!" Wei Ming and the rest hurriedly followed. However, Su Yun was advancing at full speed. It was extremely strenuous for everyone to keep up. Most of them had fallen behind. Only Wei Ming could barely keep up with Su Yun. Su Yun was burning with anxiety. He had guessed Qiu Yuelu's goal. Wei Ming's goal was the profound feather fan. In fact, this was Su Yun's goal as well. If he could snatch the profound feather fan, it would naturally be for the best. Even if he could not, he could still obtain the profound feather fan's position. However, Qiu Yuelu was extremely unconfident in himself. He believed that even if he had the profound feather fan, he was still not Wei Ming's match. Hence, he harbored the intention of taking revenge. He planned to give the profound feather fan to the Immortal Lyceum. This way, he could obtain a lot of benefits from the Immortal Lyceum. He could also make the Immortal Lyceum entrust the Jiang Yun Palace with heavy responsibilities. With the Immortal Lyceum support, he and the sect could solve all problems. Although he could not be sure it was possible. If the profound feather fan truly fell into the hands of the Immortal Lyceum, then it would be extremely difficult for Su Yun to take it back. Chapter 13:21. Qiu Yuelu's cultivation was not bad, and was slightly stronger than Su Yun, who did not use the power of the Devil Saint Devil Soul, but in terms of speed, Su Yun still had the absolute advantage. In less than half an incense stick of time, Su Yun had already caught sight of the qi that Qiu Yuelu left behind when he was escaping. Although the qi was very weak, it could not escape Su Yun's sharp nose. He followed the qi all the way, and very quickly the qi became denser. Judging from the path left behind by the qi, Qiu Yuelu was indeed heading towards the Immortal Court. He couldn't let him have his way. Su Yun snorted. He pulled out the dual moon sword and threw it into the air, then stepped on the sword blade, and a ray of light shot through the sky. Su Yun took the opportunity to gather the immortal qi in his eyes, and very quickly, he could see the scene thousands of miles away. Just like that, he followed the qi for a while. Finally, he seemed to have sensed something, and frowned, his eyes becoming even sharper. In his line of sight, a large number of figures appeared. They were all immortals who were on their way, but none of them were Qiu Yuelu. Su Yun was sure that Qiu Yuelu had disguised his appearance to prevent Wei Ming and the others from chasing after him. However, he was in too much of a hurry, to the point that he did not manage to deal with his qi in time. If he had dealt with his qi, it would have been extremely difficult for Su Yun to chase after him. Finally, after staring for a while, Su Yun locked onto a sloppy immortal dressed in a plain yellow robe with disheveled hair and a dirty face. This immortal was flying very fast, and his expression was somewhat flustered. This person must be Qiu Yuelu. Su Yun snorted. After calculating the distance, he activated the space removal glove on his left hand and grabbed towards the person. The immortal qi activated the immortal equipment, and with a stretch of his hand, Su Yun's entire palm went deep into the void, and when he appeared again, he was already behind the sloppy immortal. He suddenly grabbed the immortal's clothes, and then pulled him into the void, and when he pulled back, the sloppy immortal had already shot out from the other side of the void, and was directly grabbed by Su Yun. The sloppy immortal clearly did not react. The scene in front of him had changed, causing him to be confused, but at this moment, a sharp sword had already slashed towards his head. The sharp sword light was like a cold moon that pierced through the sky. It was especially sharp. The sloppy immortal, who was Chiu Yuelu, was enveloped by a dense killing intent and sword chi. He was immediately alarmed and hurriedly activated a magic treasure he wore on his finger. A green light suddenly appeared, and with a clang, the twin moon swords were knocked back. Chiu Yulu immediately retreated and shouted at Su Yun, "Who are you?" Su Yun had disguised himself along the way, so Chiu Yulu did not know who the person who suddenly grabbed him and attacked him was. Su Yun did not say a word, and immediately raised his sword to kill again. I knew things weren't as simple as they seemed. Although there weren't many people who attacked the Jiang Cloud Palace, all of them were equipped with artifacts and were very powerful. Their target was the flowing feather mystic Venerate Fan, so they must have made thorough preparations. How could they not know the strength of the Jiang Cloud Palace? Since he had rushed here, he was definitely determined to win. The River Cloud Palace probably won't be able to keep the flowing feather mystic exalted fan. Since that's the case, I'll have to offer it to the Immortal Court in exchange for some benefit. It's still better than having it stolen by you. If it's not mine, it will never be yours. Chiu Yuelu clenched his teeth. He did not plan to fight with Su Yun, but directly dodged and wanted to continue advancing towards the Immortal Court. But his methods could not compare to Su Yun's. In addition, Su Yun was waiting for him to exhaust himself. Chiu Yuelu did not know Su Yun's strength and was afraid of him. He was not Su Yun's opponent. Chiu Yuelu took out a magic treasure and threw it backwards. The magic treasure that looked like a top was thrown into the air, and it spun rapidly. A wind dragon actually scuttled out from the top and blocked Su Yun's path. Su Yun wanted to leap over, but when he neared the wind dragon, he realized that his speed was extremely slow. Although the wind dragon was unharmed, it greatly hindered his speed. He wanted to go around it, but the wind dragon seemed to have a mind of its own and kept following him. No matter which way he fled, he could not avoid the wind dragon. Chiu Yuelu naturally would not fight with Su Yun head-on, or else, he would not even leave the Jiang Cloud Palace. Su Yun looked towards the center of the wind dragon, and vaguely saw the spinning top. This was the core of the tornado. He clenched his teeth, and directly rushed towards the inside of the wind dragon. However, when he rushed inside, he discovered the power of the wind dragon. It turned out that the wind dragon could not only reduce the speed of all existences near him, but when he was blown by the wind from its body, the aura in his body would also be affected by the wind and be blown into a mess. Su Yun felt this and immediately stopped the immortal chi in his body and relied on brute force to advance forward. After taking 10 extremely difficult steps, he finally arrived in front of the spinning top. At this moment, he felt that if he were to relax a little, he would be blown away. His arms trembled slightly as he raised the dual moon sword in his hands and stared at the top. Finally, the sword tip descended. After being supported by the dual moon sword, the power that was originally blocked by the wind power released a terrifying brute force at this moment. The sword blade did not have any obstruction and directly slashed the top, instantly shattering it. Clang! After the crisp sound, the top was split into two, and the magic tool was destroyed. The wind dragon also immediately disappeared, and everything returned to normal. Su Yun sat on the cloud ground and quickly stabilized the chaotic chi in his body that was stirred up by the wind dragon. Not long later, he had recovered. He focused his eyes and looked into the distance and realized that Chiu Yuelu had not run far. He immediately took off his gloves and caught Chiu Yuelu, who he thought had escaped successfully. Chiu Yuelu was fiercely thrown to the ground by Su Yun, and he was already confused. At this moment, no matter how stupid he was, He understood that Su Yun had some kind of special magic tool that could capture everything in its range to his side. If he just kept running like this, it was obviously impossible to succeed. There was only one way to smoothly reach the immortal court, and that was to fight. Qiu Yuelu secretly gritted his teeth as killing intent surfaced in his eyes. After being thrown out by Su Yun twice, he was naturally infuriated. Today, he had suffered enough vexation. As the dignified sect leader of the Jiangyun Palace, how could he endure it? His body paused, and with a grab in the air, he took out a transparent sword that was like glass from somewhere and thrusted towards Su Yun with one hand. Although the transparent sword did not seem to have any sharp parts, it was ordinary and did not have anything to pay attention to, but the moment the transparent sword attacked, Su Yun was also surrounded by sword qi. The sword qi was like thousands of needles, as though it wanted to pierce through Su Yun. Su Yun secretly snorted, the imperial battle robe activated, the terrifying armor overflowed with divine power, and immediately tore the mystical sword intent apart. This is bad. When Qiu Yuelu sensed the divine power that Su Yun had released, his face changed. He immediately used his elbow to knock towards Su Yun, but Su Yun dodged. He used his immortal qi to force Su Yun, but Su Yun's qi was not weak at all, and did not move at all. With no other way out, Qiu Yuelu had no choice but to activate his magic treasure once again. His body flashed for a moment, and when Su Yun grabbed towards Qiu Yuelu, he grabbed onto nothing, and when he looked again, Qiu Yuelu had unknowingly appeared 100 miles away. He frowned and looked towards Qiu Yuelu. At this moment, Qiu Yuelu seemed to have given up on escaping. He stood in place, coldly looking over, his expression becoming unprecedentedly focused. Su Yun was startled. Just as he was about to say something, he saw Qiu Yuelu taking out a gigantic fan from somewhere. This fan was completely made of waxy yellow feathers, and its body was incomparably huge, nearly 3 meters long. It was like a huge peacock spreading its tail, beautiful and magnificent, causing people to be infatuated with it. Although this was the first time Su Yun had seen this fan, he knew that this was the treasure that he had dreamed of, the flowing feather profound fan. Could it be? Seeing that the other party had taken out the item, Su Yun's face changed. He looked left and right, but did not see anything blocking him, and at that moment, Qiu Yuelu had already raised the fan high up. The immortal qi in his body was like a surging river, pouring into the fan. After a moment, the feathers on the fan swayed crazily, and a strange gust of wind overflowed from the fan, sweeping in all directions. With Qiu Yuelu as the center, the thick clouds around him were all blown away. Like a huge whirlpool, it was extremely magical. Even from 100 miles away, Su Yun could already feel the terrifying wind shaking. Qiu Yuelu's face revealed a crazy smile, his eyes staring coldly at Su Yun. This time, let's see how you will catch up to me. Let me slap you to the heavens. Qiu Yuelu growled, his arms trembled, and was about to swing the fan. Just as the gigantic flowing feather profound fan was about to descend, the entire sky changed color, and a violent wind blew, as if the end of the world was about to arrive, and the scene became especially terrifying. The immortals in the distance did not know what had happened, and thought that it was an immortal technique, so they hurriedly fled, not daring to stay any longer. The moment the fan fell, Su Yun's expression became extremely cold. His eyes were locked onto Qiu Yuelu, the immortal qi in his body surging crazily towards his left hand. The activation of the void removal glove would consume a lot of Su Yun's qi, but this consumption was still within Su Yun's bearable range. The speed at which Qiu Yuelu's fan fell was not considered fast, and this also became Su Yun's opportunity. He did not dare to hesitate at all, once again activating the void removal glove. His hand entered the void, and when it appeared, it had already grabbed onto Qiu Yuelu's shoulder. Qiu Yuelu's pupils dilated slightly, but he also understood that this was a moment of life and death, and he absolutely couldn't have the slightest bit of hesitation. The enormous fan directly fell downwards, and the wind power of the fan instantly poured out in torrents. Su Yun's body was immediately blown away by an indescribably powerful and terrifying wind, and at the same time, his palm fiercely grabbed onto Qiu Yuelu's shoulder. The moment the gale blew Su Yun away, Qiu Yuelu was also grabbed by Su Yun, and the two of them flew far into the sky, instantly disappearing from the immortal domain. Chapter 13:22. Have you contacted the Lord? Seeing Wei Ming and Xiang Yang walking into the meeting hall and bowing towards him, Su Luluo hurriedly asked them to stand up. This, Wei Ming and Xiang Yang looked at each other and lowered their heads. Su Luluo's face changed slightly, her autumn eyes swayed, and she said, "Quickly send more people, quickly investigate, especially around the immortal court. Remember, if there is any news about the Lord, you must report it to me immediately, understand?" "Yes." Wei Ming and Xiang Yang nodded. Xiang Yang retreated to the side, while Wei Ming continued to cup his fists and said, "Miss, right now, Jiangyun Palace is without a leader. Someone recommended the cabinet elder to be the new sect leader, but the cabinet elder rejected it. The cabinet elder unanimously requested for Qiu Yuelu to come back and continue to control the overall situation of Jiangyun Palace, but the cabinet chief believes that Qiu Yuelu is in danger this time, and it will be difficult for him to return. He hopes to choose a suitable candidate from the sect's elites to temporarily take over the position of sect leader. However, this suggestion did not receive the support of all the cabinet elders, and Jiangyun Palace fell into a stalemate because of this matter. The disciples and elders are all arguing over the matter of the sect leader. "This is an opportunity," Su Luluo said solemnly. Although the plan did not go as smoothly as expected, Qiu Yuelu still left Jiangyun Palace. As for his whereabouts, if my guess is correct, he is definitely with the Lord. Maybe he met with some accident on the way, but I think, before Qiu Yuelu returns to Jiangyun Palace, this is our chance. "Miss, what do you plan to do?" Wei Ming asked carefully. Although Su Luluo's cultivation was not high, she had been modified by Ling Long Kai, and her heart was already exquisite. She could see things extremely clearly, and even immortals like them were ashamed of their inferiority. Su Luluo lowered her head, thought for a moment and said, "Immediately arrange for people to sneak into Jiangyun Palace, create chaos and blow this matter up. It would be best if the people of Jiangyun Palace fought over this matter. If they fight, it will be easier for us to make a move. Previously, Master has already helped Jiangyun Palace once, and they will definitely be grateful to Master. After this incident, we will step forward to help them, and then find an excuse, saying that in order to avoid internal strife in Jiangyun Palace, we will let the people of Jiangyun Palace send some disciples to do things for us, such as building buildings and formations. We will not touch the first batch of disciples, but we can teach them the absolute arts of immortal seeking sect, and give them extremely good treatment. Once the time limit is up, we will let them go, and if Qiu Yuelu does not return, we will send some people to cause trouble, and let the people of Jiangyun Palace continue to stir up trouble. After that, we will take action again, and the first batch of people to return will definitely tell their fellow sect members how good it is in immortal seeking sect, and this will cause the people of Jiangyun Palace to be envious. This way they will head towards immortal seeking sect, and during this period, there will definitely be many disciples of Jiangyun Palace who will leave Jiangyun Palace and join us. After all, the current Jiangyun Palace is no longer suitable for immortals to cultivate, and it is logical for them to switch over. When it comes to the third or fourth time, Elder Wei Ming, I'll have to trouble you again. At that time, you can lead the elites of the Dali Palace and pretend to attack the Jiang Cloud Palace. You don't have to attack too fiercely. Just use the excuse of taking the profound feather fan. When you arrive, pretend to attack first. After that, I'll send people to rescue you. After that, you can leave. After repeating this a few times, the people of the Jiang Cloud Palace should understand that they can no longer protect themselves. In this way, they will naturally follow our lead and submit to us. Xiang Yang and Wei Ming were entranced by her words. After a moment, the two of them finally regained their senses. Wei Ming cupped his fists and praised, "Young lady's plan is truly brilliant. The people of the Jiang Cloud Palace would never have thought that all of this was done by us. A psychological attack is truly the best plan. Brilliant. There's no need to say any more flattery, this is just a prototype. The specific process of implementation will definitely be different from what I expected. I will have to rely on Master Wei Ming and Master Xiangyang for the rest of the matters," Su Luluo said slowly. Then, "Miss you. I'll make a trip to the Wanhua realm immediately." "Why are you going to the Wanhua realm?" Wei Ming did not understand. "Naturally, to find the whereabouts of the Lord." Su Luluo's eyes drooped, he sighed and turned to leave. The two of them looked at each other, both feeling baffled. However, Su Luluo had her own considerations for doing things, so the two of them did not want to ask further. Most likely, he was right, so they went down to do their work. After Su Luluo left the meeting hall, he headed straight for the door, but before he could leave, he was stopped by a petite figure. "Qianmei, what's the matter?" Su Luluo said softly. "Where's Big Brother?" Hu Qianmei asked with a serious face. "He has something to do, so he's temporarily out." "Then where are you going?" "To do business. Do you think I'm easy to deceive?" Hearing that, Su Luluo lowered his head. "What do you want?" "Take me to find my brother. It doesn't matter if you go or not. I hope you can wait here quietly for him to come back. Maybe it won't be long before he comes back," Su Luluo said slowly. Although her voice was very gentle, the words that came out of her mouth were like a sharp knife that pierced into Hu Qianmei's heart. She did not say anything else, she lowered her head and sobbed softly. After a moment, she raised her head again and said, "All right, then I will wait here for him to return." "Yes." Su Luluo nodded and left. Hu Qianmei weakly leaned against the doorpost at the side, her eyes slightly closed, her tears still wet. Su Luluo understood Hu Qianmei's thoughts. At this time, what she hated the most was that she did not have the ability to do so. Actually, Su Luluo should not have said those words, but she could not help but want to say it. She did not hate Hu Qianmei, on the contrary, she was a little jealous, because from start to finish, Hu Qianmei had always been protected and doted on by Su Yun, and she did not like it, because in her opinion, when two people loved each other, they should not be protecting each other, but should be protecting each other. Although Hu Qianmei had just entered the immortal world, she should continue to increase her strength, because Su Yun could not protect her forever. This was what Su Luluo thought. Su Luluo also knew that Hu Qianmei would stand up to protect Su Yun at the critical moment, but she had to have the ability to do so. She purposely said that because she wanted to provoke Hu Qianmei. She knew that Su Yun would not ask Hu Qianmei to do anything, but she would not dote on him like Su Yun. After leaving the Immortal Seeking Sect, with Xiaochua's help, Su Luluo successfully passed through the Immortal Gate that was sealed by the Immortal Court and entered the ultimate martial world. She knew that Su Yun had quite a bit of power in the ultimate martial world, but the ultimate martial world could only be the logistics of Su Yun's power, and could not participate in the chaos of the immortal world as a fighting force. Without hesitation, she headed straight for the Wanhua realm. The journey was smooth, and Su Luluo arrived at the entrance of the Wanhua realm. However, at that moment there were two people from the Wanhua realm waiting at the entrance. One was an attendant and the other was an old man. Prime Minister Rong Muk greets Miss Su. Seeing Su Luluo walking towards the door, Rong Muk immediately went forward and bowed to her. Su Luluo frowned. "You know me? And you know I'm coming?" "I didn't know, but the Realm Lord ordered me to come here to wait for Miss Su, so I came." Rong Muk said with a smile. Wanhua Realm Lord? Su Luluo lowered her head and thought. Actually, the reason why she came to the Wanhua realm this time was because she heard the news from Suyun. The Wanhua realm lord had already reached an agreement with him and was willing to serve him, but the Wanhua realm lord was an incredible envoy, and believed that she could deduce Su Yun's current position, or even his safety. Su Luluo knew that Su Yun and the Wanhua realm lord had become husband and wife. In her eyes, this was just a couple driven by benefits, and had no status, so she did not pay too much attention to it. She did not make a sound, and followed Rong Muk into the Wanhua realm. Just as she entered the realm gate, she saw a large number of Wanhua realm's armored soldiers standing beside the door, as though they were welcoming Su Luluo. They all bowed to him. It seems like my brother has quite a bit of weight in the Wanhua realm lord's heart. Su Luluo thought. This was the first time Rong Muk saw Su Luluo, and he could not grasp her personality, so he did not dare to speak. At this moment, the Wanhua realm lord was waiting for Su Luluo in front of the realm tree. From afar, Su Luluo could already see the realm lord who was standing prettily in front of the gigantic branch. She was like a wisp of orchid fragrance in the wind, light and fragrant, and the first time they met, she was definitely breathtaking. Her beauty was not that kind of worldly beauty, but a beauty that made one's heart palpitate, a beauty that made one's soul tremble. Su Luluo was also a beauty. She did not really care about her appearance, but this time, she inexplicably wanted to compete with this delicate and charming young lady. Greetings, Realm Lord. Rong Muk flew over and bowed. The young lady looked into the distance, slightly lost in thought, as though she did not notice the arrival of the two. Rong Muk's voice made her slowly turn around. Get up. The Realm Lord's melodious voice came out. She looked at Su Luluo and nodded slightly. Is this the former Supreme Sex Holy Maiden, Miss Su Luluo? Greetings, Realm Lord. Su Luluo bowed. There's no need to be polite. Although I am the Wanhua realm lord, compared to the immortals, I am nothing. There is no need for you to be polite in front of me. The realm lord said softly. Since realm lord has said so, then Luluo will not be pretentious. Su Luluo nodded slightly and said, Since realm lord has calculated that I will return today, then you should know my purpose for coming here, right? Yes. There was no surprise. Then where is he? Su Luluo asked. But Realm Lord slightly tilted her head, looked into the distance, and did not say anything. Chapter 13:23. Ugh! A painful groan came out. Su Yun opened his eyes with difficulty, but felt as if his entire body was about to fall apart. The intense pain almost made him faint. What's going on? What's wrong with me? He opened his mouth, wanting to make a sound, but found that his throat felt as if it was about to be torn apart. The moment he spoke, he felt an incomparable pain. In his line of sight, there were actually floating, immortal platforms. They were like clouds, floating in the sky. Sword Sheath World? In Su Yun's blurry thoughts, such a word immediately surfaced. Why was he in the world of the Sword Sheath? What was going on? He tried his best to gasp for breath, feeling the pain in his body getting stronger and stronger as he gradually regained consciousness, causing him to fall into a state of unconsciousness again. What was going on? He lay on the ground for half a day before he finally recovered some strength. He tried his best to sit up and check his current condition. However, with just a glance, his heart jumped and his scalp went numb. At this moment there was not a single piece of good flesh on his body. The divine power of the imperial battle robe was gone, and it was tattered, as though it had been beaten back to its original state, and was only a step away from collapsing. It would probably take at least 10 days to recover. Without the protection of the imperial battle robe, Su Yun's body was not much better. The skin all over his body was cracked. His chest looked as though it had been dug by Zhao Zi a few times. It was filled with deep and shallow pits. His flesh was badly mutilated, his internal organs could be vaguely seen, and his limbs were all broken, looking terrifying from top to bottom. What the hell was going on? Was it caused by the Lu Yuxian Zun fan? Su Yun was startled. What? Just then, a burst of blue light suddenly appeared behind Su Yun. Following that, light footsteps could be heard. I didn't expect you to recover so quickly? It seems like your life force is still very tenacious. This voice was Ling Qingyu's. Qingyu, what's wrong with me? Su Yun's weak voice came out. I remember that I was fighting with Qiu Yuelu. Why did I suddenly appear in the sword sheath? Was it you who saved me? Yes. Ling Qingyu said indifferently. You have been unconscious for 3 days. 3 days? Su Yun's eyes widened. He suddenly thought of something and asked anxiously. Then what about Qiu Yuelu? Where is he now? He is dead. Ling Qingyu said, then took out a gigantic fan out of nowhere and passed it to Su Yun. Su Yun saw that it was the flowing feather Xian Zun fan. Dead? He could not believe his ears. Yes, dead. Ling Qingyu placed the fan at the side and squatted down. She extended her slender hand and pressed it on Su Yun's chest, and poured qi into his almost dried-up immortal meridian. Su Yun nodded his head, and no longer cared about what was happening outside. If anything really happened with his current state, he would not be able to help Ling Qingyu. He sat down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to meditate. After another half a day, his body had more or less recovered. As the dragon head of a few great immortal sects, Su Yun's space bag contained many good treasures, and there were also many top-grade immortal pills that could heal his injuries and recover his qi. At this time, he stuffed all of them into his mouth, not caring in the slightest. If he did not eat these pills now, when would he use them? Although his qi had not completely recovered, he had already filled up nearly half of the immortal meridian. Su Yun did not dare to let the immortal meridian be too full. After all, the weakest part of his body was not his internal organs, but the most important immortal meridian. If he filled it with too much immortal qi, it would cause trouble again. Recovery was also a gradual process. He could not be too hasty, otherwise it would only backfire. After a moment, Su Yun opened the sword sheath's vision again and looked outside. At this time, Ling Qingyu was still moving forward. Looking at her anxiously moving forward, it was obvious that she had not shaken off the pursuers behind her. However, what made Su Yun more concerned was that Ling Qingyu's face was pale white, pearl-like perspiration covered her forehead, her small mouth was slightly open, she was gasping for breath, as though she was extremely tired. Seeing that, Su Yun frowned. Qingyu, what's wrong with you? It's nothing, I'm fine. It's just that I've been away from the sword sheath for a long time, and I'm not used to it. Ling Qingyu said slowly. She looked at the sword sheath and asked, Su Yun, how are you? Are you feeling better? I've almost recovered. Su Yun immediately opened the sword sheath and rushed out. Holding on to Ling Qingyu's hand, he said, Qingyu, you quickly go back to the sword sheath and rest for a while. Leave this to me. Ling Qingyu's delicate body trembled, looking at Su Yun's big hand that was grabbing onto her. Her beautiful face flushed red, and she said softly, What, almost recovered? Don't lie to me. I can tell with a glance that your body is still too weak. You should go back to the sword sheath first and rest. Leave this to me. No way. Su Yun's attitude was firm. He directly rejected her, and said with a serious face, Qingyu, quickly go in and rest. Hurry up. Su Yun. Be obedient. She wanted to say something, but Su Yun immediately interrupted her. Ling Qingyu opened her mouth, looking at Su Yun's determined expression. She sighed, her red lips opened slightly. All right then, I'll do as you say. As she spoke, she stopped, but she wanted to go in, but she did not move. Qing Yu, hurry up and go in. Su Yun was puzzled. Hearing that, Ling Qing Yu tilted her head to the side and said softly, I can go back, but you have to let go of my hand first. Hand? Su Yun was startled. Only then did he react. His big hand was still holding on to Ling Qing Yu's small hand. The exquisite feeling made him reluctant to let go. He quickly let go of her and laughed awkwardly. Ling Qing Yu glared at him, then immediately jumped into the sword sheath and disappeared. Su Yun did not dare waste time. He took the sword sheath and rushed forward. Ling Qing Yu's strength was indeed higher than his, but Su Yun did not know if she had pushed her speed to the limit. At least Su Yun's current speed was not much different from Ling Qing Yu's. With this speed, although he could not increase the distance between them, but he would not let them catch up. Su Yun, those fellows are about 1,000 miles behind you. I will help you absorb your qi into the sword sheath so that they won't be able to track you. Although they think that someone has invaded the forbidden grounds, they are not sure where that person is. And all of this is just a suspicion. We have not revealed our whereabouts yet. Be careful, do not let them confirm your existence, if not, we will be in trouble. Ling Qing Yu's voice came out from the sword sheath. Yes. Su Yun nodded and said, Previously, you advanced at this speed for a full 2 days, but you are still only a short distance away from them. I reckon that they are not coming for us, but for the forbidden grounds, which is enough to show that there should be something extremely important to the immortal court in the forbidden grounds. We cannot be careless. Just then, he saw that the light in front of him had suddenly become brighter. Seeing that, Su Yun was startled. He quickened his footsteps and rushed forward. Very quickly, a thin white dot appeared in his line of sight, and as he got closer, the thin white dot became bigger and bigger. It was a wide door. Su Yun's expression became serious. Are we finally here? Very quickly, he was close to the door. At the moment, the door was covered in snow, and it was extremely difficult to see clearly. After a while, he finally adapted to the light. He carefully sized up the other side of the door, and was shocked to find that it was actually a pure white star field. Clearly, the periphery of the area was filled with vast stars and the resplendent Milky Way, but inside the area it was a pure white scene. Su Yun saw that in the center of the area there was an incomparably huge lotus that was like a mountain, and on top of the lotus was a huge coffin. The coffin seemed to be made of crystal, and the light was coming from the coffin. The resplendent fluorescent light, the holy white lotus, the splendid coffin, all of them were dazzling, all of them were noble, all of them formed a scene that made one's imagination run wild. Chapter 13:25. The footsteps became clearer and clearer. From the gradually loud voice, Su Yun could determine that there were a total of 7 people who had arrived, and they were less than 500 meters away. Su Yun held his breath and quietly sized up the entrance. To immortals, 500 meters was actually nothing. When Su Yun's next breath arrived, a figure had already walked out of the entrance, followed by a second, a third, a fourth, until the 7th. When they entered the star domain, they stopped in their tracks and stood in front of the entrance in a row. Everyone looked around as if they were looking for something, but they still stood at the entrance and did not walk around. They did not even take a step forward. A moment later, the 7 of them knelt down on one knee and bowed towards the crystal coffin in the center of the lotus. However, they did not make a sound. After the ceremony, everyone left the star domain and returned to the entrance. Seeing that, Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief. It seems like these guys did not discover my existence. Su Yun walked out from the shadows, but was not in a hurry to leave from the entrance. There was only one way, and if he left now, he would definitely meet them again. I have to stay here for a while, and wait for the people of the immortal court to completely leave. However, the people of the Immortal Court will definitely repair the barrier, and at that time it will not be easy to leave. Furthermore, I have never heard of the Immortal Court's forbidden grounds, so I do not know where this place is located in the Immortal Court. Su Yun rubbed his forehead, feeling a headache coming on. Since we're here, let's just adapt to the situation. Don't think about anything bad. When we're at the end of the line, maybe there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. Ling Qingyu flew out from the sword sheath and said. Although she had not been in the sword sheath for long, it was obvious that she was much better than before. Let's take advantage of this time to fight again. Let's sit down and rest. Su Yun laughed, then immediately found a talisman stone and sat down cross-legged. You idiot. Seeing that, Ling Qingyu snorted lightly and said, Didn't you notice just now? Those fellows bowed to the crystal coffin, but they didn't dare to approach it, let alone speak. Obviously, there's definitely some extraordinary treasure in the coffin. At this time, you don't want to obtain the treasure, but instead want to cultivate. How did you become no different from those foolish cultivators? This is the forbidden area of the Immortal Court, but there are no traps here. Isn't that strange? If there's something in the coffin that I can't deal with, wouldn't that be even more troublesome? Su Yun sighed. What are you afraid of? Ling Qingyu said confidently. If you can't handle it, don't you still have me? Nothing much. Su Yun took a deep breath, and his gaze landed on the gigantic coffin. Open it. See what's here. If we open it like this, what if there's a trap inside? That will not be good. Su Yun said, and then raised his hand, facing Ling Qingyu. Ling Qingyu was startled, but quickly understood Su Yun's intentions, and immediately threw the sword sheath in her hand over. The sword sheath drew an arc in the air, and steadily landed in Su Yun's palm. He held the sword sheath in one hand, and placed the wide sword sheath horizontally in front of him, while his other hand extended towards the lid of the coffin. If there were any traps or other dangerous things, Su Yun could directly open the sword sheath and absorb those things inside. This way, it could be considered a form of protection. Although Su Yun would sometimes take risks, he would still leave himself a way out. Unless he was forced to do so, he would usually not gamble with his life. Su Yun's eyes stared straight at the coffin, his heart started to beat faster. His breathing and the immortal qi in his body started to speed up, his hand slowly extended forward, and very quickly, he placed his hand on the coffin. Ling Qingyu stood at the back, watching everything. Su Yun exhaled fiercely, looking at the bright crystal coffin. In the end, he seemed to have made a decision. He clenched his teeth, exerted strength in his arms, and directly opened the coffin lid. Boom! The gigantic coffin lid directly fell to the ground, producing a loud sound. At the same time, the entire star domain shook. Clang! A strange sound suddenly came out, and a slight ripple appeared in the air, which then disappeared. Su Yun's body swayed along with the swaying star domain, and when he stood up straight, the scene in front of him completely shocked him. Looking at the coffin in front of him, there was a golden body. It was unknown whether it was a corpse or a statue. Its entire body was shining with golden light, and it lay quietly in the coffin. And on its body, there was a mystical power constantly flowing. Immortal qi? No. This was divine power. The aura of divine power. Su Yun's eyes widened. He looked at the golden man in the coffin in disbelief. His heart seemed to have stopped at that moment. Divine power aura? What the hell was this? He stared blankly, and couldn't help but extend his hand towards the golden man. However, the moment his finger touched the golden man, the entire golden man's body suddenly rushed towards Su Yun's finger like a gust of wind. Su Yun's entire body seemed to have been electrocuted as he trembled crazily. At the same time, the array seals around the lotus throne and the coffin also reacted. A large amount of terrifying destructive aura was formed between the array seals, and waves of buzzing sounds could be heard. although Su Yun, who was trembling violently, was clear-headed and felt that something was wrong, he was unable to leave even if he wanted to.